Good Wednesday evening, everybody. It is Nathaniel here for the American Richie Mahjong League, joined tonight by Eric from Richinomi. How's it going, Eric?
It's going great. We're off to a very hot summer, and we get our first few games coming in for B3.
Yeah, it's been really interesting season so far. We had our first glimpse of action in the summer session Monday night, and there was some thrilling games. Yakuman was one that evening, and we'll see if this table can continue the excitement. We've got Ian, Scott, Drew, and Maya sitting around this table. Ian in the first dealer seat, opening up with a double tone. Nice little high pie here, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Looks to maybe be angling towards a Honitsu double tone by keeping the south and north. The eight mine could have potentially yielded like a 678 Sanshoku, but that's quite far away.
Yeah, I think if you're strictly playing efficiently, you might hold that 8 mon a little further. The fact that it's coming out so soon definitely feels like exactly what you called, maybe thinking about the Honitsu, but we can see the South certainly isn't coming his way, as that's been anchored up on the right. Scott holding a triplet of his wind, and he has callable options as well.
I could definitely see Scott calling the 5, so I mean, no need if you just draw it. Actually decides to cut the 9 mon from the Ryokan, looking for possibly more Dora acceptance or 567 Sanshoku.
Yeah, now draws the 7 so, but ends up cutting away from that middle Kontron anyway with the good shapes.
Hmm. Well, here we go. Chitoi Ishanten for the dealer.
And even giving up the 5 so acceptance, so perhaps still thinking about making the Honitsu shift later, but Chitoi seems a lot more likely, or just calling for the east and taking whatever comes your way.
Yeah, it's hard to immediately think of any ways for this to naturally shift into Chitoi when you're Ishanten already. Sorry, to shift into Honitsu if you're Chitoi Ishanten.
Doesn't make the Atosuke call. Around the table, though, Drew is Ishanten across the way for 2-4 Sanchoku potentially, with the door up. And on the left, that hand is also approaching Tenpai as well, Ishanten.
Yeah, the hand on the left could be quite good as well. Mentum Pin Dora 1.
Diamen, Ishanten. It's not quite helpful there. And that pin draw gives Ipeko options for Ian if the hand moves that direction.
Mm. Drops the 8 pin because there's 2 7 pins gone already. Maybe values the safety of the 3 mon versus Scott.
Scott choosing to open on that 8 pin as well.
And there we have a Dama on the left. 3 of the 9 mon are out.
Each.
But to be honest, Tanyo Pin Fudora 1 seems a bit cheap for a hand that could be Mangan, so... Ah, we're even going to see a Dama here. Slams the 3 pin into the Richipatsu turn.
Drew, incidentally, did draw the expensive side, the 2 pin, for the guaranteed Sanchoku, just waiting on the 8 so. 2 left in the wall.
And we see the dealer here is Ishanten. Doesn't want to cut the live south.
Oh, I think, imagine we see
But
a call
I
now.
think if you chi this, yeah.
Chi.
This is the easy chi. Very nice. So that north is still twice live in the wall.
Oh, but the 6 comes.
There we go. 1326.
The reach stick as well.
A respectable amount.
It'll be Maya jumping out to the early lead, and we will move to Scott's dealership here in East 2.
This is a hand where you want to go fast and open up because you have 2 Dora. But now I think you have to pair up the east for that. There's not a lot of easy ways to open unless you can shift the 9 pin out of the hand.
Yeah, would you ever consider calling the 8 pin here, or are you going to wait until you draw more shapes before doing something like that?
I might wait a little bit longer. I would definitely call the 2 so, but I think I would have played it a slight bit differently and kept the Haku and the Ton from the beginning with the intention of opening this, should I pair one up.
Something like a 9-mon cut early. Well, now we've drawn an 8-mon connector, so it looks like
Hmm.
Scott might be forced to play this hand closed.
And that's fine. You have the 2-so as the pair, the 3-so and 6-so overlap, so you don't mind too much about losing the 3-so eventually.
On the right, that hand's progressing pretty well. A little hard to use a Dora at this point, but
リーチ
we could get a Hatsu call instead. It's going to be Maya another Tempai, first Tempai, and early Ricci this time.
Quite a good weight as well. Dora acceptance for Tanyao Pinfu. And there are still 4 left in the wall.
Including 2 Dora. No pots though. Be interesting to see how Ian takes up the challenge here. Just jams out the 9-mon. He is Ishanten. But no Dora in hand. So just how far he wants to push this.
This is difficult though. Yeah, because you have a couple of tiles that you don't really want to push. The 8-so around the Ricci tile, and then the 5-mon is it's not cleared yet. Plus your own hand doesn't have much value, so I think a good decision to work around it.
On the other hand, Scott drew the Penchon 7-mon and decided to back away with the 9-mon cut.
Following suit for now. It's a little unfortunate because it is your dealer turn, but there are quite a few hard to pass tiles.
Doesn't matter, Maya will get the Tsumo on the expensive side, reach Tsumo Piftan Dora. Misses the Ura, but Mangan, and up to 44,000 points. Great start. Moving to Drew's dealership. Seeing at 25k, hasn't had a lot of action just yet, outside of that early Sanchoku Ricci in the first hand.
And the current hand is a bit slow, but 4 chances to pair up Yakuhai and already 1 completed run in Sozu, so not the worst. You could see a very far away 2-3-4 Sanshoku Pinfudora 1, or just double tone Yakuhai. Lots of options, but it's probably not going to hold up to the speed of the other hands.
And Maya's got the East call available and is already 2 away from Tempai very quickly. Ian across the table can accept a Dora, but those shapes look a lot more awkward, a little bit slower. You can see him holding on to that East, perhaps in the hopes of pairing it up and getting a little extra speed.
Now there's options if Drew can use the 2-so for Itsu.
Filling out this upper to middle so shape gives the hand some hope for extra value. That's an interesting 7-pin. Creates like a 5-6-7 and a 2-2-4 shape.
Oh yeah, it's very efficient.
She'll go ahead and cut the 8-mon ahead of time, setting up a really nice 9-mon weight in the future.
The Dora Sakigiru here. So, dealer is playing, I'm guessing, still towards, like they're still undecided about having the hand open or closed. I think you will probably have to open soon towards Tanyao, in which case the 9-so isn't very useful, but it's a very awkward position going into row 2 if someone reaches, because you basically have to break the whole hand apart, and you have a lot of middle tiles, so it's hard to fold to the end.
Yeah, holding the 9-so almost is hoping to use the 6-so as the pair and then play either 4-pin or the 5-so as a Kutsuki tile. But, as you said, if you're going to open up for Tanyao and try to play for a little bit more speed, in a lot of spots that door is super useful. But Maya again, first to Tempai. I'm sensing a theme.
Also, this Kan 8-so again. It's very popular.
Yeah, this not quite the value of the previous hands, just a Richinomi, but
So I think it's interesting to consider. I'm not sure I would wait around, but it's interesting to consider cutting the 9-so there since you have so many connected tiles in Pinzu that can swap you to Tanya, but it's not guaranteed, and there's 2 of the 1 pins dead, and two more of the 2 pins did, so it's probably not the best to delay the tempi there.
Mm.
This 1 pin does look a bit scary, but it is one chance, so out it goes.
Well, now Suji has been created, and if you're willing to trust Suji a little bit, the 8 so side seems a lot safer than the 2 so, the Dora.
Definitely.
See if someone falls for the post Ricci Suji.
And there's two of them across the way in Ian's hand.
So far, he's held firm. Ooh, might have to cut a pair here. Goes with the 8 pin, 8 pin. So trust
That's
the
true.
other Suji. This 5
Yeah,
pin
and
came out from Scott.
the other big difference here is it buys you 3 turns.
Mm-hmm.
And the hand can still technically progress, you still have 6, 7, 8. So by the time you cut the second one, you could be tempi. Same the other way around, but the third turn is important here.
Even considered calling with that 3 so for a wider shape, but if you do that, you have to cut the 1 so eventually, and that just doesn't look safe enough yet.
Mm.
Players have done well to not deal, and there's still 1 8 so in the wall, and Maya has 2 draws. 2 chances to pull it in. Oh, that should be Tempai.
The Haite.
Oh no, that's Tempai. But who then? And of course, if you drop the Dora for it, which is now safe, Scott could try to work his way back into Tempai, and now Ian Tempai with a safe 8 pin to pass.
Oh, Ricci? Dama for now. 6-mon just did come out, but there's no Yaku, so you can't run anyway.
Oh no.
Oh, yes you can. Ote Dora 1 for 2,600 plus the Ricci stake. What is this? Uh-oh. Did we freeze up here?
Maybe it,
Huh?
considering whether or not it's... Oh, it is disconnected. That's unfortunate.
That's really unfortunate. I was hoping it was on our end that we froze up.
Right.
But what timing too? That sucks.
Made it all the way to the very end. Of course, on Tenho, if you're disconnected, you can't take any game actions. So just draw, discard. There's no auto win multi seed. But came back and still earned 1,500 points. So got about a little more than half the value of what he would have earned anyway. I guess
not the worst outcome. Yeah, just get it this hand. That south pawn makes up for it, and already Ishanten.
Yeah, looking very strong. Gonna see a chase though from Drew in terms of calling.
Drew opting for the cheaper hand here. There's already a north discarded on the second turn, so maybe a Toy shift is possible.
That's true. We could pair up the 5 so. So even the 1 so now would be enough to convince me to go towards.
Yeah, I think 1 so would be excellent here. It looks nice with 2 of the 2 so's discarded so early.
All right, calls abound. 3 players with 2 calls, and Maya sitting here with a closed hand.
Tough to complete now, though. That 7-mon is pawned. Tempai already on the left, 8-pin, 8-mon. And that 8-mon is very live.
Or?
Except for drawing the last 7-mon. But the one in Maya's hand will probably come out eventually.
In the meantime, Ian... Oh, well, never mind. There's the 8-pin. That will fall out naturally, and it'll be Drew stealing the stick away.
Yeah, Tempai fight between the 2 of them.
Then Shaba waits, but the more terminal one ends up winning. Ian, now the dealer, gets a second chance in the hot seat. Is it the hot seat?
Maybe, but I think across the way, already Ishanten.
Drew can even consider moving towards Tanya, cutting east-east.
Yeah, draw of the 9-pin adds the Dora. draw of a 6-pin adds Tanya.
Even this. Oh, we dropped the 9 cell already.
So you see over here, seems like Ian is holding on to those Yakuhai to attempt to open this up for the Dora 2 or Dora 3 hand, depending on how things go. And then there's also a possibility to shift towards Chitor here now that there's 3 pairs.
Each.
Decision time for Drew. Decides to just slam the Ricci. Ricci Nomi. Waiting on 4-7 Mon.
Early good shaped Ricci. It doesn't seem like there's many fast upgrades there.
We can
You
see
could,
a lot of those tiles held on the right and what looks to be a Chinitsu attempt.
yeah, no, you can pass the 8-pin and the 7-so here, but then after that it gets tricky. So I imagine whatever tempai they get first, they'll take. Oh, but that's a perfect draw.
Yeah, that's really pushing Scott towards the maximum value.
So is it 2-3-6 mon? There's even some draws into Churin
Yeah, we'll
in a
draw
couple.
9 Mon.
Like you need 2 changes, but yeah.
Then my 9 Mon cut a 5 and be tempai for it.
Oh. Yeah, I think right now it's 2-3-6 mon give you tempai.
It should be.
Kang.
Ooh,
And oh, Khan. Exciting. I was gonna say I
Unexpected.
like that. Oh, and punished.
oh, but didn't give
Draw
away
order
Nuda.
changes. Yeah, luckily. I was gonna say that would be a beautiful Dama Menchin Itsu Ipeiko.
Right. The acceptance of the 3 Mon as a 1-2-3 is really strong there, so a little unfortunate to lose the 1 Mon to the Con. In the end,
Well,
it
so
wasn't
be it.
terribly expensive hand from Drew, and Scott will be the dealer, a good opportunity to make up any ground lost.
Definitely. You see over here, my is only 2,000 points away from 30k, but everyone is below 30k at the moment, and
Home.
first is in a commanding lead.
Fast call here to retain the dealership.
Kang.
But we're going to see more cons. This one increases the value of the hand with another Dora. Might be a little bit tricky to use. You're going to have to make some decisions on these shapes soon.
And we're probably going to see a fast Ricci on the left. Ian's already Shanten with 2 good shapes and an Anko of the East. There's no inherent value in the hand other than Ricci, but with 2 Uridura chances, I'm sure we'll see an immediate slam.
Absolutely, and here we go. Well, considering it at least. Hopefully not another connection.
Each.
There it is.
Khan left in the wall.
Oh!
Oh, another Khan. People are living dangerous today. And 5 mon is the new door. That's another chance for Ian to sumo for value. 3 Uridura indicators. You feel like you have to hit at least 1.
One would think so.
Yeah, it's funny how often there'll be like 3 or even 4 in some cases, and you feel like you hit less than when there's just a single one.
Oh, Scott could call the Tempai, but
Gee.
that would deal another new Dora 5.
Do we see
Go.
that? I was gonna say the only way around it is maybe 3-so 3-so since it's blocked off on both sides, but
Right.
unfortunately that's gonna deal into 52.
I did miss though. Did it hit Uda 1 there?
It did.
Alright, at least one was found. It now takes over second place, really close to hitting that 30,000 point mark that will guarantee a non-negative score. But it's true, the dealer's seat. These are shapes I'd be pretty happy to have in the early portion of the hand. No inherent value just yet, but some nice connecting tiles.
Well, the first goal here is, just to retain the dealership. But right now it looks like a closed hand. You can see easy shifts towards Tanya, though, especially with this new draw over here. You're very close to 30k, so you'd like to maybe win a hand or two, remain far enough above 30k that you don't drop below it in all last. But that's asking a lot when there's another player who wants to do the exact same thing, so speed will become key here.
There are some speedy hands around the table. We do have Ishanten already on the right. And across the table, Ian is approaching Tepai as well. A couple tiles for him to draw. Scott
It
left
is
looks early,
Ishanten. Yeah, it is Ishanten on the right, but it's a tough one because there's two of the Tuso gone already. So in an ideal fairy world, you draw around the 5-pin and cut out the 1/3 so to increase your hand value to Tanyao plus Pinfu.
Yeah, and Mai's really playing for that, holding this 5-pin even into this second row where it starts to get a little dangerous.
I wonder even if, well, this one will probably come out as well. At this point, if you draw another middle tile, you probably cut the 1/3 so, but that's just as good. You can call from first place now.
Yeah, we'll call the last Tuso now. If Drew manages to draw it. Ooh. I guess the foo bump not particularly relevant here. We'll give that Pinfu.
I suppose so. Oh, surprised we don't see the 7-mon cut.
Yeah, perhaps allowing the acceptance of the door as opposed to the chance at Ipeko.
Ah, that's true. Forgot about that. The other thing is if you draw the 8-mon and you don't mind losing out on the value of Tanyao. I mean, obviously the 8-mon makes up for it, but this shape is better. Normally, if you plan to open the hand, you would keep this shape, and if you plan to keep it closed and need value, you'd keep the Ipeko chance.
Right. Well, Tempai found, Ricci slammed, Ricci Tanyao Pinfu, waiting 3/6 Mon. Lots of those threes out, and we can see that there are only 2 tiles remaining in the wall.
This is a strong Ricci from first place. Definitely aiming to start off the season on a strong note. I don't know if I would take it just because 4 of the tiles are dead and it's a middle tile Suji near the Dora. But definitely slowing down everyone here.
Ian has the safe 9 Mon. Could find Tempai in one of these last couple of draws, but would have to jam the 3 Mon, and it seems like he's been playing relatively defensively over the course of this early portion of the season. Only a couple deal-ins in the first 2 games.
Oh, I think you have to pawn that tile. It's K10, yeah. It's
Wow.
This is even better. I don't think we chase here though. There's only 2 tiles left. Oh, sorry, 1 tile. There's another pagon already.
And the 4-so is not in the wall, so Drew has to pass 1 more draw.
Oh,
and he gets there.
Con. No. Yeah, you definitely don't con there, but it's funny. If for some reason the 5-pin hadn't passed, you might con the 8-pin if it doesn't look safe, and then hope to draw something safe.
Either Rinshan Simmel or something that doesn't deal in. Yeah, but that's the risk, right?
Yeah, you absolutely would not do it in this case because the 5-pin is safe. I mean, you could potentially shift away the high tile, but I don't think it's worth the risk.
Sure. But that will allow Drew to retain the dealership.
Going over 30k, and now there's a Registic and Olamba on the table to get.
And another relatively speedy hand, perhaps, for Drew if he can work towards Tanyo. But at the same time, there's a decent amount of value to be had closed here. Right
Scott's hand on the left looks like he can develop into something fairly large this round. Definitely, it's a Ricci hand. Ricci, Pinfu, Dora 2 if you're very lucky. Maybe an Ipeko. He needs to grasp at straws here, though. Wait, is that a thing?
It is.
It,
It's a second Dora.
no, oh, I meant the phrase. I'm pretty sure grasping at straws is not a good thing. Perhaps I should have said grasp at every opportunity they can get.
Well, as is, your prediction is sort of coming true here. That second Dora drawn, Ipeko chance live. Now there's a nice shape in the lower Sozu.
And you can shift to Tanyo at this point if you draw around the Pinzu.
Absolutely. Drew's hand coming together as well, though. A chance at 567 Sanchoku. There's that pin draw. Initial time for Scott looking for, well, 3 mon, 4-7 pin. Seven pin kind of in high demand here, as one might expect from that Sedora.
Definitely. All 4 are gone already. The 4 pin only has 1 copy left in the wall, so it's going to be a tough wait. But this gives you some outs to that. If you cut the 1 mon here.
Yeah, now we can make good use of a 6-pin draw.
It's also Kutsuki around the 4 mon, so if you draw 5 mon, that's a nice reach as well.
As sad as it is to drop a Dora, points are points.
For
Richie
sure.
Tanya Pinfu Dora is still very strong.
Absolutely.
Considers calling for Tempai, but even 39 might not be enough for Scott.
1
It's like the 6-9 weight.
Yeah, only 3 visible, so it looks very good. There's 2 left in the wall.
Those being the expensive 6 pins.
Yeah, both Mongun, but the winning on the 6 pin gives you a Hanuman chance.
Oh, there's the 9. Drew, oh, he passes
Ah.
it out.
The case 9.
Yeah, that eShot 10 super strong for Drew, but will deal into Dora 2 for Mongon. This is going to shake up the standings a little bit here. We've got, or I guess not the standings, but rather the positions moving into all last. That Critical South 3 now leads us to a very exciting all last. Where 3
What a
players
rough
below.
hand.
Is this...
You know, because really ideally you want to keep all 3 players below 30k, but this doesn't seem like a hand that progresses fast enough to do that without taking risks. And since there's Agata Yame off, you maybe just want to play this hand defensively and keep the first place. Give it a few turns, but...
Yeah, these hands sometimes appear out of nowhere, but I will at least give a glance at it and hope that Drew wins something relatively inexpensive, or even a Mongon will be fine for Maya. The draws are slightly coming in, though.
They definitely are. I can't see it really yielding a lot of value or speed right now, but another few good draws like that, and then we're talking.
Meantime, the fastest hands probably Scott's across the table or Drew's on the left.
The question is Scott willing to settle for 3rd place?
Right, the Green Dragon. Or just draw it yourself.
Yeah.
Slam
Each.
Raichi and then go for it all.
Yeah, this is a case where maybe on ladder you would definitely Dama, but here in a league setting, because last place is so close to you already, the Ricci stick doesn't make a huge difference. And so trying to aim to get above 30k and into 2nd seems like the best choice.
So we've got Ricci, Hatsu. Looking for Sumo and an Uda.
It's pretty incredible. There's still 6 left in the wall.
Wild. I'm so used to my double-sided weights being like 2 left.
Sumo.
Oh, there's that Sumo. Alright, one Uda. This is already a great result for Scott, but does miss on the Ura, so barely below 30k to finish out. Still, steals away second from fourth place to second in two hands. That is Mahjong sometimes. Maya, though, claims the first place overall, plus 32.7, the only player over 30,000 points, earning her a bonus 5 points of Uma on top of the 15 that she earned from being first overall. Ian takes a minus 7.7 third, and Drew the minus 24.3 fourth. And that is the third game of their series, so I believe they will be playing another one very soon.
Yeah, and that's a good example of a hand that is worth way more than what it seems. It's from the point where Scott was in last place, they would have lost about the same as sorry, names are evading me, as Drew would have now. Maybe it's actually a little bit lower probably because they were at 18 or 19k at some point, and now they lose less than a point. So it's basically a Baimon difference, a dealer Baimon difference, 24 points.
Absolutely, the placement shifts have a huge impact. And we can take a look at the overall standings in the B3 division while we search up the next game.
Yeah, we have a few strong starts in B3. Mason, Ian, and Yueming all, oh, sorry, Michael as well, all above 60k after anywhere between 2 to 4 games. 2 games getting up to 62.1 is pretty impressive for Yueming, especially since one of them was a third place. So I'm going to imagine that was a game with the Yakuman in it.
Maybe not a Yakuman, but I think he won something like 10 out of 14 hands.
Oh, wow.
And actually, if you want to see Yun play, they're starting in 3 minutes.
We could definitely swap over to the new group.
Okay.
Seems like 42.3% win rate reflects what you just said.
Yeah. We've got so many games happening right now. I believe 6 different games going on right now. I'd love to catch as many people as we can. So let's actually prepare for that then. We've got a little bit of time to warm up to that. I remember looking at that result as it came in, and I couldn't believe that someone had earned over 100 points, plus 100 point X. With the UMA, that means they had well over 100,000, or rather, let's see, it has to be over 100,000 points, right? Oh no, I guess it would be like 80,000.
80,000 would do it, I think.
Still very rare in Akanashi.
Definitely. In games like that, it always feels like the 3 people who are below 30k are pointing fingers at each other and saying, "You should have won faster. No, you should have won faster."
Yeah,
There is to some minor extent a sense of collaboration that you have to have when a dealer is going on a rampage to just end it quickly before it gets too out of control. But yeah, sometimes you just can't help it.
yeah. Actually, I'm having a little bit of trouble finding a player in the standings, but we can at least update the players that we can see. And I believe this is another group of players in B3.
Well, while we have a minute, I'm gonna go run and get some water.
Absolutely encourage everyone else to do the same while we prepare for this matchup, which should be starting in a minute or so. And I can at least preview that we will have Bianca as our first dealer, Danny as our second dealer, a South player, Ross in the West seat, and Jiming in the North seat. And wow, that's an impressive R, 21. They're off. Bianca will open things off. Haipai a little bit awkward with these kanchan and penchan shapes. The 4-6 pin at least is improvable. You can draw a 3 pin or a 7 pin and make a nice shape out of that. The 8-9 mon, a little bit less so, and having two pairs in the 9 pin and the 1 so is also a little bit of a challenge, especially when you've got the 6-6-7 block. However, if that's your final weight, 9 pin 1 so comes out fairly easily, so that might be a solid opportunity for a win. Right, Danny with a pretty nice looking high pie. Could turn into a pin relatively easily, especially if we can draw around the 4 pin or the 7 pin. It might look like that shape is overlapping a bit in its pair and sequence combination, either a 4 pin pair and 5-6-7 shape or 7 pin pair and 4-5-6 shape. But it offers some really nice acceptance and can allow you to escape this 8-9 so penchan. The only issue being that the 8 so is the Dora. We don't necessarily want to drop a Dora. Across the way, that looks like a Honitsu attempt from Ross in the Monzu, and on the left, a callable hand here with a Chun pair, but the first Chun came out. I don't know if that was passed or if the pair was not in hand at the time. But Bianca has drawn the Anko of both the 1 so and the 9 pin, so problem solved. Just fix your shapes by drawing triplets.
Oh, this is interesting, Yishanten. There's lots of shifting that can be done.
Yeah, it's progressed quite nicely since the high pie. I was trying to see what the odds of a Saranko were. Oh, and I guess we could keep this 9.
I guess you could see Sanako happening if you draw 5 or 7 so first, and then a copy of 6, 5, or 7, whatever one fills in. It will be a little bit sad if we lose out on the Tenpai on the 5-pin draw because of the 6-pin toss earlier for the Nobiton. But there's still enough tiles that you can tanki on. Oh, here we go with the Richi over to the right. Looks like Reach Pin Fuipe Godora 1. With the Patsu, can make it to Hane.
Oh, I see dealer chase. Not getting the value from Sanako or Double Tone, but at least a chasing Ricci to try to retain dealership. Oh!
Oh, nice Patsu here.
Uda as well, 4,000 all.
I have to come up with a name for that hand where it's Richinomi, but actually it's Mangan. It's the classic formula. Ipatsumo Ura.
I would always snap Ricci, my Ricci Nomis, if I knew that that was what I was going to hit.
Oh, 100%. Although, that's kind of a forced one as dealer, I think.
Right.
The good shape is too good to pass on.
Good
nice draw of that last East. Yeah, when that's it. If you were an occultist player, you'd say when you draw that East, I think it was a Hellweight, then you have to feel it's on my side, and you slam the button.
Well, certainly everything went Bianca's way in that hand. Although we've got that East becoming a relative tile again. It's the Dora, and Danny's got a pair on the right.
Yeah, spicy hand.
Oh, and a Hatsu backup, so you don't even need to call the East necessarily.
Even 4 pairs, you're hoping it advances towards a callable hand, but in the worst case, the Chitoi Dora 2 for 6,400 is not bad.
Okay, well, we'll see how long that East hangs out to the left in Yunming's hand.
It's a little bit dangerous because Yuming could definitely move towards a Tanyao here.
Right. Imagine the 5-8 pin draw. Do you take the Dora Taki? Do you take the 5-6 mon weight?
I think you have to take the wider weight. Just because the weight is wider and the value isn't that bad, right? At this point, though, the East is getting quite annoying to hold on to. Seems like maybe Yeah, we should get rid of it when we can. Unfortunately, it was already too late from the high
Eat.
pie. Nothing you can do about that.
Oh my, look at this Ricci from Ross. Ricci Ipeko. Does
That's
miss.
I think he I think that was an excited button press, maybe.
The weight,
It's quite scary.
not super strong, and there's a lot of value that we can see in Downey's hand.
Yeah. It's a hand where you can
Boom.
Dama. But there you go.
Yeah, Dama for
Speaking of
Suwanko
Damas.
chance. Yeah, Yuming will steal it away though. Taking responsibility for his door drop. Always appreciated by the rest of the table. Maybe not less so by the person who calls the Dora.
Mm. And correct me if I'm wrong, it is currently Danny's dealership?
That is correct. Yeah, apologies to the viewers. I will see if I can update the standings to show Yuming's name, but currently it's unavailable to me, so I actually can't put it in there. He's across the table though.
So this is an interesting hand as dealers. You know, obviously much faster to keep the 7 ma on the 4 pin, etc., but no value whatsoever unless you can use that pay in hand. So moving towards a Honitsu here seems like a strong play.
And when you draw the 1 mon, 4 mon, it's a little bit awkward to make a decision about how far you want to commit to the Honitsu idea.
Yeah, at that point, you might have to aim to use the Dora as a Tonki.
Yeah, this is a couple times now that we've seen that Yakuhai call passed, or any calls in general passed.
Boom.
The second Hatsu will be called and stolen away for 1,000 points.
Yeah, if your hand is either Ishan 10 with good shapes, or it's very early on and you don't think you'll have very much value or ability to use the Dora, then you often see the first Yakuhai passed. In the case of the early hand, it's to make more value, to keep flexible, especially if it's a hand you're likely to fold. And if it's a hand that's close to Tenpai, sometimes it's also because they want more value and a chance to smack someone with a good Yakuhai weight. But I think the meta nowadays, we often see the first one called in latter games. It's I think, optimal strategy for a lot of hands.
Well, I feel like we've had a lack of a discard for a little too long, so let me see if a refresh will help solve that issue. Oh, there have been some calls. Looks like another Honitsu play for our dealer.
Speaking of these fast Yakuhai calls, you see both of them taking the white and the red there. Though I think the red might have been the second one, given that there was also one on turn 3. Hard to say though.
The Tenpai found, but immediately on the same weight, Ross finds his Tenpai, slightly more expensive.
4/7 pin, quite a nice hand. You can see I can do math. Yeah, you can see a Hanuman on the 4 pin.
Slight danger on the right, but I think the 6 pin is going to be crisis averted for Yuming.
Yeah, I think you make the shift towards a Ricci here now. You don't want to toss any more pins if you can avoid it. It's the dealer's discards are quite nasty. The question is, over here, does Ross switch to the 3/6/9 pin weight? It's only Mangan, but I don't think you're hoping to win on the door unless you draw it yourself anyway.
We're going to see the challenge on the 5 pin, Ricci, door 1.
Ooh. So surprisingly, still 2 left in the wall.
Uh-oh.
Make that one.
It's a rough tile to push.
Yeah, into the Ipatu turn and the Honitsu over here. The 1-so is a little bit scary too because of the 2-so as the declaration tile. But I don't think there were many safe options anyway.
Right. Back to the Tenpai.
And the 8 pin is dead, so everyone is looking for that last 5 pin, other than Ross, who wants 4/7 pin. I think there is... Oh, there's the last 4 pin for the Hanuman. unfortunate.
That's gonna be a big win for Ross, putting him in competition for first place now.
Mm.
New high pies. Is Ross doing another Honitsu? It's worked out so well
But
for him.
I think with this draw though, we can't easily do that because the door is 7, so and we have a Ranman and another suit. Maybe a potential shift towards Itsu. For example, if you pair up the Dora,
Sure.
or the Tuso here, it's definitely a case where you need to think about balancing the speed out. You already have overlap in the upper Manzu, and using the Tuso as the pair gets rid of another good shape.
And it appears that Ross is indeed balancing out this approach now.
Mm.
Bianca crossed the way with Nishan 10. 5 so would lead to the good tempai, but you can even improve the value a little bit by just holding out a little longer.
Yeah, in the case of Bianco, it'd be a Richinomi. If you get the Richinomi bad weight, there's not a whole lot you can do about it, just because the north is already an Anko. So the meaningful upgrades would be 3 so, 7 so. I think that's about it. I guess you could also draw 4 so, 6 so, go for Sananko.
Mm-hmm. And even the 8 so allows you to at least win on the door itself.
Very true.
Down the left with technically 2 away from tempai. And that's really good straight shapes though. Although there is a bit of an overlap with the 6-mon acceptance. Now that problem solves itself.
So in the meantime, Ross has this second Dora now and 4 pairs. It's a hand where you want to open if you can. There's 3-1. The problem is there's like 3-1 so and 3-4 so dead. And there's the first Ricci on the left.
That's actually a little bit of an interesting choice. You have
Yeah.
2 3-sided weights to choose from.
And they definitely take the one in Mansu. There's just more tiles left. And the one in Soza doesn't guarantee any more value.
Do you ever make the play that if players are discarding a lot of a certain tile that
リー
maybe
チ
you'll get
Oh,
your dealer
definitely.
wisely?
Definitely. I just think in this case, it's a little bit rough how many of them are gone. And it's an area where the 6-0 is near the Dora.
Mm-hmm.
And twice gone already, so... I mean, with this 3-sided weight, the 3-so looks really good in the wall. In this case, it's just unfortunate it's paired up by
Oh my
Ross.
goodness, Ross!
It goes for the Tsuji Hikake and
Oh
gets
my
the
goodness.
Baimon.
Suju trap 6-mon was not a safe tile. Ross says, I like the I can take that risk for the quality weight, the 8-mon, and it was indeed a quality weight. Hitting the Ipatsumo with Dora 2, Ura 2, and Chitoi the route to Baimon.
And here's Chitoi Ishanten already. But hold out for the Toy Toy. Makes sense since you can call this Hatsu.
I mean, Ross might be dreaming even bigger.
Potentially. If you draw the East or the Red, you're just in Tempai though. So it might be a little bit difficult. But say you draw the Hatsu first, cut the twice cut Ton, and then draw another Chun, then you can swap over to Honitsu Toy Toy to Yakuhai.
Looks like a relatively standard hand on the right. Door draw is excellent though. Across the table, another door draw. Could lead to an early
Yeah.
Ricci.
The hand on the right is nice. You could go for 1, 2, 3, or 2, 3, 4 Sanshoku.
Ooh, but now it's efficient to hold this 4-6-8 shape. Perhaps in last place, Yuming will seek the value.
I think that's the play here.
Technically, Tempai on the 5-pin. Rejected.
Yeah, still searching out that 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku or another draw around the Dora.
Bianca maybe holding out hope for a little bit of greed as well, cutting the 1 mon, holding the 5 pin even though the 2/3 shape already accepts the 4.
홈.
A little bit unfortunate now for Ross that the Hatsu is Mochi Mochi and one of the 1-mons is already gone. And you don't normally expect 7-mon to be a tile that's easy to pawn in the middle of row 2.
Especially when players made, well, I guess the second call didn't come out, but the early 1-2-3 chi might be a little bit suspicious. But when a Dora...
Yeah, definitely. You see the red, the white, and the east have all passed, and even the north was dropped on turn 1. So you have to figure one of the last Yakuhai chances is the Hatsu. And if they're going for Honitsu, double rip tier 1/7-mon.
Bianca will draw into Tempai and slam the 3-so Kanchan Richi Dora 1.
Oh. 2 left in the wall. Deciding. Yeah, I was deciding whether to do the 2-mon or the 9-so there. There's chances of Itsu and quite a wide variety of draws into Tempai from this state. Opting to try and play around it for the time being.
And in the meantime, on the left hand, shoving these pin tiles, so not concerned about the middle pin wave.
1.
Ultra
Oh,
wide.
there we go. 258, so wait.
Sanzo.
Surely we don't keep pushing here. You have such a big lead.
Oh, that's a bit of a push.
It definitely is. Correctly finds which one passes for now, but there's no guarantees that any of these other ones do. Oh. Alright. Relatively light hit, though.
Yeah, still definitely with a pretty commanding lead. East 4 now. Or Yuming will wish that this high pie was a little bit stronger. Right now, this is quite awkward.
Definitely. You get Dora acceptance of the 6-mon, but that creates a Kanchan, and then you already have a lot of slow shapes, and just a lack of shapes overall. No clear Yaku, though that 3-pin draw is quite nice. And just we already have 2 Shanten over on the right. 2 Shanten across the way, and Ross's hand definitely seems to have better shapes. I look away for 1 second, though, and this tune is paired up, so maybe there's hope after all.
Yeah, definitely breathes life into a situation that was very difficult. You've got 5 blocks, so gotta find that last tune. Or I guess there's 2.
I think
any of the tunes.
Yeah, at this point, as dealer, even though you're behind me so much, and this hand will be very cheap if you open it, you have to open this going into row 2 because it's just too slow.
Another pair for Bianca on the right. Oh, and even committing with a 9-pin cut. So this is going to be a Chitoy one way or another. He shoved it across the way. It's very wide. It was an interesting, decision that had to be made, whether to cut the 5-pin or the 5, something like 5-so or 8-so. But that so shape is so wide, cutting the 5-3 makes a lot of sense.
And absolutely.
Just cut the really unfortunate immediate backfire of the 4-pin.
Yeah, it was really the choice there was between 3-4-pin and 2-3-mon. If you touch the so shape, you're losing out on a lot. And there was already 2 5-pins out, so went for the wider Ishanten.
As expected,
There's only 1 tile wider though. Yeah.
Tempai very quickly.
So 6 9-pins south, of which the 6-pin is dead. There's 2 9-pins left and 1 south, but it's only really 1 south in the wall versus 1 4-mon, which I think has 4 left in the wall.
Oh, here's one of them. As dealer will try to fight this, but the dealer no Uda, so saves the 4,000 to 8,000 point swap.
Definitely a call that they had to take to maintain the dealership. Just unfortunate.
Yeah. With 2 Ricci 6 as well, that sweetens the pot as well for the challenge. Bianca now back to the dealer's seat, second dealership.
Can't help we've put some kind of curse on them, though. After talking so much about the high win rate and winning 8 out of 10 hands or however many it was, and now it's like dealing into every other hand, unfortunately.
Well, that's the nice thing about winning a lot of points in one game. If you lose a lot of points in another game, you had that safety net.
Yeah, you can just shrug it off a little bit.
And in the long run, things should balance out. Let's see if Bianca gets the chance to call this Haku anytime soon, or if this turns into an Itsu, as this is Ishanten for the 6 pin and the 8 pin for the full straight.
At this point, it's almost disappointing to draw a good weight around the 4-mon.
Yeah, I'd have to cut the 9-7 away. Lock yourself up with the Haku pair.
Yeah, even if you draw another 4-mon, probably cut the 7-9 pin. Maybe not, though. There's only one 8 pin out. But you're already at 39,100, so...
Well, there's a dealership. There's still a chance to catch up to Ross. I mean, Ross had that huge 18,000 point hand to really swing his way upwards.
And we know that Ross likes to fight, so if there's a dealer Ricci here, there is a small, not a huge chance, but a small chance that he ends up pushing.
Who held almost a relief, because then you don't have to make a decision about whether you to call or not. This late in the hand, though, I imagine Bianca would call the Haku.
Yeah. And I also imagine we'll see a swap off of the 7 pin at some point for a safe tile. I was going to say that's fortunate and unfortunate at the same time, because the 3-so allows for a 3-4-5 Sanshoku shift, but the 5-so was dropped pretty early on, so would have been furry 10. And now we can pawn.
And Bianca drew the 7-mon just in time to allow for the backup pair. And so this call is straight into Tempai on 3-6 pin. Just 1,500 points, but a little bit will count when you are chasing a player that is well ahead. Yuming has been seeking out this Junshan Sanchoku. I guess not quite Sanchoku, but Junshan at least.
リーチ
Oh, and the Ross Tempai means he will be jamming.
1 4-mon. It's already 5 of those out. So that leaves 1 in the wall. Actually, none in the wall. It's dead.
Well, that's right. With a pair for Bianca and Yuming holding the last 1-mon, there are no more tiles to draw, so Bianca the only player with a chance to win via Sumo. Oh, but Yuming finds the Tempai, and this Riso is going to come out. It's Suji to the Ricci. Junshan will put Yuming back over into the positives and end the dealer threat.
I was wondering about whether they should take Ricci there. It's Suji trapped. Yes, it depends on how confident you think the 3-so will come out against Ross's Ricci.
Not out of hopes for third yet either. Only 16k away with 3 hands. It's doable.
Yep, 3 hands and a dealership.
I'm liking the look of Ross's hand though right now. 3 Dora, Tanyao
Oh yeah,
looks
definitely.
by far the strongest hand right now. Shantan
Yishanten fast.
with 8, so Sakagiri now. No fear. Or no need for that 8. It'll be interesting to see the play on 3-pin. Sorry, 5-pin, 7-pin, 3-pin, 5, 6, even 8-pin. Lots of tiles that can increase your acceptance.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a case where if you're Ross and you draw the 4-7 so first, you should Dama. Because the form on 6-pin Shabo isn't good, it's already Mangan, and there are many, many weight improvements.
And of course, there's a Yaku, so even if you Dama, you can still win the Mangan.
Mm.
Then for Bianca now. That con 4-pin, a little bit awkward, but if you fill it, there's no problem, right?
Yeah, and this is a fairly straightforward reach. It's unfortunate 2 of your better side to snipe someone on are gone, but what can you do? So 8-pin into the Patsu turn is technically slightly better for Ross to do the 3-pin there if he's going to push, because the immediate Ukere is more important than the danger, given that he has 3 Dora, but there we go.
Reach Tsumo Ping for 3 and 20. Will send us to South 3. And Ross gets one last crack at sending his score up to 80,000 points. Hypa is kind of interesting with a couple honor pairs, one of them being Yakuhai Haku. And looks
That's
like Ross,
interesting too.
Yeah, he's trying to greet another Yaku.
Ah, double backfires. I wonder, maybe looking for Honitsu, but I think
At the really least, Chanta, right?
you could say Chanta. Chanta is also option. I thought, yeah, that's why I was thinking it's a little bit unfortunate that the 4 went first. There's the double backfire I was talking about. I think if you had kept the 4 so and the 3 so, then there's a crawl over to 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku as well. But it's hard to see, and it's not guaranteed.
That's an interesting reasoning for keeping the 4 versus the 6 is that, one, it gives you holding the 4 gives you an excuse to keep the 3, which then gives you an excuse to keep the 2, and then the 1, and that crawl down to the Sanshoku.
But of course, you can also go to 2, 3, 4 Sanshoku here if you draw the 4 pin Dora. At the time, I think it was just a 3 pin on its own.
Sure.
Oh, there we go. Ishanten.
The easier shapes found. Now you've got to find the hard ones. The 2-pin and the 7-pin.
2 left for the 4. Sorry. Yeah, 2 left for the 2-pin. 1 left now, and 1 left for the 7-pin.
I think Ross did intentionally pass up the West Pondo. Could have taken a more headless shape, hoping to end up on a terminal talkie. But it's always awkward being headless with 3 calls.
Yeah, and then if you end up calling another time or end up on a bad weight, then you're in trouble for a direct hit.
Right.
Especially since you can't... I mean, you can use one of the Dora. But then, yeah, you're a sitting duck. And this too is interesting, cutting the 8-pin. But there we go with the Richi. You do have safe tiles here.
Nice 3-sided way here for Danu Richi Tanya.
Yeah, it's important. You can't miss the 3-pin win here. Khan.
Ross hits funny button.
Hell 4 shows the new Dora. There's a sumo right after. Ah. This feels like it'll yield Dora. No? Unfortunate.
Yeah. In this case, it felt like the Khan was going to help out Danny, but only the Mongon in the end, and that means that the battle in All Last is going to be fairly stratified in terms of the scores, but Danny is Mongon Sumo away, surpassing Bianca. It's a lovely high pie for dealer too. Really sad to see that call so early from Bianca.
I think the gap between Ross and second is 23,200.
Looks like it.
So you'd need a direct Hane.
Honitsu is a path.
The Dora
Yakuhai,
double
Honitsu,
south.
double south, yeah. There is definitely a chance here.
Yeah, Honitsu, Toi Toi, Haku, Dora 2 will do it. Might be content, yeah, to just take the second above 30k though.
リーチ
Prevent third from getting above, but it's too late. Here's the Ricci. It's not nearly enough at the moment, but some lucky Ura and a direct hit could do it.
Yeah, even just the Sumo and then the Ura. Danny's got a chance. Force of a pin, amazingly live. For central weight, I always assume that it's a half gone, being held by other players who are dropping, terminals and honors, but in this case, they're just somewhere in the wall. Sometimes when you're fighting a reach like this from your direct competition, your best... Oh, hang on a second.
カン
We just added 32 Fu and a Dora.
Oh yeah, now you don't even need the Ura Dora.
Each.
Sumo Hatsu becomes Mangan.
Oh, we're going to see dealer chase the Ricci Tanyao Ipeko with a 7-pin weight. So 7-pin discard would be double rolled.
ズモ
But it's Danny's going to find it. It's going to be enough for Yakta.
It's that Ross called it in on. I think maybe to break Ipatsu, but loses some safety in the process. Either way, shifts the draw order. There's the Mangan Sumo, and that is enough for Danny to take the second, like you said.
10.5 for the overtake. Bianca, for finishing over 30,000 points, will still have a positive score, plus 2.6 in third. It is Ross, the big winner in this one, 40.8. And aiming with some unlucky post-Ricci dealings, gets the minus 53.9. Some spirited fighting Mahjong in this game. We can take a look at the updated standings after this.
Looks like Ian is in first place after that. Plus 93.6.
Very nice. Oh, and that means that the fourth game from that table must have finished. We can take a quick peek and see what the score was for that. Ian with the first place in that game, plus 29.0, and Drew got the second in that one. Ian with a very solid start to this season in B3. And I met him at a in-person tournament not too long ago. Got to play against him in a casual match. It was a lot of fun. And I'm not surprised to see him doing so well here in B3.
Always nice to put faces to names.
Absolutely. With the number of tournaments that have been going on this year, I've been able to do quite a bit of that. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to the recent Ricci Nomi tournament. That was a huge tournament.
It was 208 people across 3 floors.
I feel like continuing to hop around tables.
Sounds good to me.
I want to catch as many of these names as possible. There's another B3 table. We can stick with this division, actually, and get the entirety of this division. That'll be a lot of fun. They started a little bit ago, but it's still fairly early on in the game. So let's take a look and see how things are going in B3-6 with, I'm recognizing Mary Jane, Alec, Blaine, commentary regular. Let's hop right in. Looks like they've made it to East 3 already. And Travis is our dealer. I recognize that name as well. Pardon the lag for
And
just a moment.
Home.
the dealer calls there, takes a 6-pin pawn. Doesn't take Tempai though. Aiming instead for a Toy. I think this is definitely a case where you can take the Tempai and still get the Toy afterwards. But as is double tone is quite strong.
Looks like they've hit their 4th game. Who's got the door? I see a Dragon Door. I want to know who has it. They're actually really live.
I see. Yeah. Well, there was one discarded on the second turn of the dealers,
I see.
and then okay, we're back to Tempai again. This 8-so would deal in if it's Sumogiri. Kind of a weird workaround there to a worse way.
Dong.
Would you ever pawn that in cut 7? 9
I
looks
was
kind of
half
good here.
I was expecting them to, because when they pawned the 6-pin, they passed Tempai on a Kanchan wait. Even though they could have taken that Kanchan and then pawned the 7 later to get into Tempai for Toy. So I half thought as well, especially since there's a pause there, that they're going to pass that as well and then pawn take the Tanki. But I think with double tone, you just take it.
They're 900, and that does help solidify the lead a little bit. 5,700 now over Mary Jane. Still pretty early days in this game, though. Very straightforward high pie, though, for Travis this time.
Not much thought needed there.
I feel like
It's the kind of hand I like.
Yeah, unfortunately, like in my games, I feel like these are sometimes the slowest hands. You just get diamond, 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 and there's no decisions to be made. And you're just sitting there drawing and discarding tiles, never
Boom.
making any progress. At some point, you feel like even if you get Tempai, your weight's just going to be held. And so frequently, you get to Tempai late in the 2nd row, early 3rd row, and you slam the Riichi only to get chased immediately. I don't know if you ever had that same experience.
Oh no, definitely. Sometimes
Home.
it goes really well, sometimes it goes very poorly, and over on the right, we see a Toy Yaku Dora 2 Force. Looking for that Hanuman.
Hanuman would be huge here. Now Travis has to make a decision. Goes ahead and cuts away from the 5-4.
Kang.
Likes the 2-5 pin and 6-9 pin over the 3-6-so, where he's holding 2 of the 3-sos already.
Khan over here, the east. I mean, maybe this is too conservative, but in my head, I would have held on to the east and dropped the 8-mon, because it's definitely going to be Toy now. We've cut the Ryanman away. And then Khan if I drew into Tempai myself, but I think since I'm in control of the door, I don't usually like creating more, especially if I'm so exposed like this. That's a much less exciting approach, though. Slamming the button is definitely the high stakes move.
Blaine, maybe the high stakes player that we're looking for here. Unfortunately, doesn't flip any door for himself. Seeing the north as the indicator would have been a huge dopamine rush.
There was a little bit of a pause there on the left, looking for the best cut. Oh, I see. I misread that hand. I thought they had 7-mon already, so I was excited for the Ishan 10, but it looks like it's still 2 away. Now it's 1 away. That's cool. And callable with 2 Dora.
But cutting away from the 8-mon means that we don't get the double 7 acceptance.
Looks like That's Alec over there? Yeah, Alec is
Yes.
deferring for better shapes, or possibly Chitoi, Toy Toy.
リーチ
We're gonna see a slam from Mary Jane Ricci, Pinhu, and no Dora. But 2 indicators means 2 Ura chances, and that's quite nice.
This is a pretty sneaky weight too on the 9-mon because the 7-8-mon was cut from hand in order. And then there was a Tadashi 8-pin, so it looks like
つも
it should pass.
Trap the wall.
Trick the wall.
Ura, nash. Cannot find the Ura, even with 2. And a Pinhu, that's unlucky for Mary Jane, but will get a really nice win, jump into first place, as the former leader had to eat the Oyakaburi payments there.
Money the dealer has another really fast hand here, a chance for Sanshoku.
I'll give the dealer another chance to draw tiles now. The refresh. There we go.
For a split second there, I was like, wow, their hand changed so much. Just a couple turns.
Kind of tough choice, actually, for Blaine. I don't know
That's
that I would have cut the
interesting.
4-mon, though.
Maybe the 4 so. I
Mm.
don't think I would move this towards Chitoi. It seems too strong as a run hand.
Yeah, with the 3-4-5 Sanchoku chance, I love me a good Sanchoku. Looks like it wouldn't have happened with the 6-pin draw, but still can be a sequence-based hand with a 6-0 or 9-0 draw.
Yeah, the draw of the 6-0 is quite good here. Now you can consider dropping, I was gonna say 3-so, 5-so go for Sananko if you don't get the Ipeiko, but this works too. It's just a little bit more
Boom.
limited.
Yeah, and if the went with the 4-so cut instead, the pon here, you could follow cut the 4 and have slightly better shampoo weight.
Yeah, that, or you could have also cut the 5-so and the 3-so kept the
Each.
Anko.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 3-so is also a pretty safe talent to
Long.
Tenpai, but there's the Ikatsu.
Shipatsu Ton, no Ura again, but loads of fu in that hand with the triplet of the East Wind there. Bump up that score to 64, and Travis is back on top.
How many wins is that? That's
Boom.
2 pairs of wins. Doesn't believe. The hand's too close to Tenpai, I suppose. You can delay 1 turn with the 2-so cut, but
After that, you're making sacrifices.
yeah.
I guess after that,
Even when you cut 2-so, you're making sacrifices. If you draw a 3-so, you're giving up the upgrades around the Yonrenke, the 2, 3, 4, 5 shape.
That's true. Well, Mary Jane with some interesting options now. It is Ishanten, but I'm not even necessarily super thrilled with the weight that I get after drawing even the 5-so. So I almost want to drop like the 2-so.
No. This is a bit better. Yeah, you leave the upgrades to Itsu, which more than justifies dropping the Hatsu pair, or you can take the shampoo and wait.
Absolutely. I think we'd end up in the same spot.
I think though the only really sad draws here is 4-so, but it's a good weight. Richinomiya as dealer, so you probably take that too.
Blaine considering perhaps cutting the worst 1-2 pin, but the Sanchoku Chanta seems good. Oh, goes with the Chun instead.
Trying to balance the speed and the value here.
Hmm.
I think with the chance to call the Chun, maybe I would drop the 3-4-so and aim for the more expensive hand overall. But this seems like a good compromise. The thing is, there's already all the 2-sos gone, so it's only really 1 tile better. And you can call for it, but it'll be cheaper.
Right. Yeah, I think with all the 2s out, that definitely leans me more in favor of holding the Chun pair. Ooh, but now dealer, having drawn the 9-so, gets to make that interesting choice.
And this is rough because one of the 8-mon just went out, and like a
Boom.
turn prior, maybe they would have snap dropped the Hatsu, but now they want the callable hand in the second row.
You could even theoretically cut the 7-so there, although that might be too middle ground. Blame
Yeah,
to
then you can get Itsu and Hatsu.
Mhm.
Well, here we go. 2-5 so versus 5-pin north Champon. The north is probably going to come out.
ロン
Travis doing his best to stay ahead here. Shutting down the dealership of direct competition, and now it's Alex' turn. Callable.
Oh, yeah, a callable hand. It's the choke point is going to be the 7-pin for the Dora acceptance, but if you can get that in the Hatsu, you're set. And there's plenty of improvements around the Sozu. It's just despite that, it feels like the distance to the win is going to be a little bit far.
ポン
Yeah, 7-pin.
Especially, yeah, from our perspective, it's one left.
Definitely typically a desirable tell, though maybe there's one player at the table you wouldn't suspect needs a 7-pin with an early 6-pin cut. Even that could still come out from a 6-8-9 shape.
Yeah. That's definitely aiming for the early Chitoi committal. It's 2 Shan 10. Could have cut the 6 months. You do trap the Pen Shan and keep the Dora acceptance, but it seems like first of all, you're not guaranteed to get that Dora, and if you're going for Chitoi, you want to prioritize the better weights early, since it's so solidified already with the 4 pairs.
Chitoi, a hand that is seems a bit polarizing in terms of how greedily players aim for it or not.
チー
Blaine, one of the few players that I know who is not afraid of a Chitoi, will happily.
Personally, I love it. I think it's a really good option for a hand that is going to develop slowly because it allows you to keep defense in pairs. And it's a great way to use up the door. You can always use the door in Chitoi.
The only way to not use the door in Chitoi is if you draw too much of it.
In which case, you should play with Kansai Chitoi, and then you can use all 4.
I've been
Gee.
advocating for that. Unfortunately, administration
Gee.
has chosen to to not move in that direction.
That would be an interesting American twist.
Well,
Oh, there
Alec
we go.
did get a 7-pin.
ドン
And we'll get the win as
Grabs the
well.
Yeah, grabs the 29 from last place to widen the gap a little bit. And, ooh,
Interesting.
yes.
I wonder what is in Alex's head right now.
Well, those Hatsus are both live in the wall. The Haku you can pawn the first one of. You don't want to miss out on that. I guess the thing is, if you don't get the Shosang and at least the hand is kind of disappointing, but shapes are filling in steadily. Where Ishan 10 is not an Ishan 10 I really want to take.
I imagine even if Alec fills one of these shapes, probably isn't going to take the Tempai. Oh my.
You can't now. So yeah, drop the I mean, I guess dropping either of them are fine. I think I would read the 3 mana slightly more live with the early 2 mana and 1 mana Sumagiri, but any kind of wall reading done this early in the hand is kind of hard to expect to go right. Well, there we go, Damamangan. I wonder if I even just Richi this so early.
Yeah, it gives you. I mean, even if you hit one Uda, that's going to be Hanuman, and Sumo as well gives Hanuman. Now,
Yeah,
perhaps...
it's also if you,
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it also feels like something you can get someone on pretty easily.
Yeah, this early of a Richi. Now, perhaps Alec is thinking, if I draw Hatsu, I'm not going to Sumo.
That's a possibility.
Maybe.
In which case, I wonder if he pairs up the 2-3-4 pin, if they will break Tempai.
Maybe he was watching the stream Monday night and saw the first Yakuman of the summer session and said, you know what, I can do that too. So it was a Daisongan.
Still 3 left in the wall.
At this point, if I was Alec, I'd probably suspect that one of these players has a pair.
In which case, I also like the Ricci because if they decide to fold and break a pair, I can grab it from them when I would normally never be able to.
Progress being made on the right now. Has an interesting choice. Goes with a 9 so 9 so this is more of a defensive play, although that 6 mon can improve to pay for later.
Tempai across the way, 2-5 pin for Tanya only.
Dama.
Juicy to Dama, I'm thinking if there's any upgrades to Sanako. I don't think there are. Probably just the Arichi here.
There is the 7 mon upgrade in the sense that you can con.
Kang.
That's true.
Oh, it just cons anyway. Says I will break Tempai.
Well, that's certainly interesting. Well, there's one of the Hatsu.
And all of a sudden, Alec doesn't need to reach you for the Hanuman anymore. Richi would be Paimon. But at this point, the Hatsu, kind of tricky tile to see come out, even though one is now showing as the door indicator.
Yeah, all the way up until the middle of row 2, you kind of expect someone will just eat it if their hand is good enough. But now, yeah, now it's getting a bit late. Of course, they're just both on the wall.
Now with the juicy Kan Uda, wonder if players are even more incentivized to slam Arichi, and then if Alec would chase or choose to Dama.
Let's see. The Sumo Baimon would be huge here.
Would catapult you to first place.
Beach.
And there's the Tempai for playing, waiting on the very
the
4 mon
last
that he
7
caught.
mon.
Let's go.
Gee.
So 1 versus 2 in the wall. Do we see the Sumogiri or Karagiri chase here, or is it just going to be... I think I normally still Dama, because I'd have to hit quite a lot.
Dom.
Oh, and there it is.
Yeah, and then you go, oh, you look around for a second, you say, oh, there was no dragon. That's strange. Uh-oh.
Yeah. At 18,000 point swing, will actually put Alec into first anyway, hitting the leader. So massive high pie turns into a massive win, and Alec has a shot at first.
This hand significantly less interesting than the last one.
Almost a letdown after you win that huge Hanuman. But it's still got some room for improvement, of course.
Oh, definitely. Shifts to Tanya. Get rid of the bad shapes. 7 so is once again.
Boom.
And there's this fast calling on the left for Chanta. Just get rid of the dealership. Try and solidify first place in South 3.
And Chanta always a little bit more concerning when there's a terminal or honor Dora. But the 1 mon was called as a chi. It doesn't mean that the hand is necessarily cheap. It could be a pair of 1 mons in reserve.
Yeah, plus a Yakuhai like South if it pairs up.
Sure.
You're looking at a nice 3,900. Actually, more if you can sumo the South. I guess if you sumo the 9 so as well, the Fu goes up.
Another good draw for Alec. It ends up going in the way of the 9, so will get called for a South Tonki after the South just cleared. Chanta feels like one of those hands where you're less surprised to deal a Nano Tonki, though.
So this will be 2,600. Because it's a Tonki and it's the round wind.
Concerned on this Hatsu for sure. No one else really making a huge amount of progress just yet. Lane's hand isn't so bad, but still needs to find one more shape.
You can probably toss this 8 mon eventually. The first turn 7 mon makes it seem like the 8 mon should be safe, but there's the second South.
Chatadora 1, and that will be slightly larger. I guess that's Mary Jane taking over the lead. Still relatively close, and Travis trying to make it back in one swing here.
Quite a good hand for it, too.
2 Dora, Tanya possible. Not bad on the right either, Blaine. Something already.
The thing is, Blaine needs more value here. It's if you get to your dealership, that's cool. But you'd like to boost yourself up a bit. So this Pinzuitsu could happen. There's a very long shot at Junshan Sanshoku, which I think you have to take now. You can drop 5-6 mon here and keep all the options alive. But if you're happy with the Richi Pinfu, you can do this 4-pin drop.
I was wondering about 4-pin versus Haku even, if you're thinking about Chanta. But the 4-pin giving the Itsu chance is also interesting. So you could even 5-6 Mon back then. Seems very committal though.
Yeah, I think though when you're this far behind, you have to do slightly counterintuitive things, break the Ishanten, go for quality over speed. Because even if you win 1,000 points here and get your dealership, then what? It's 7,000 points versus 6,000 isn't going to make a huge difference. Or rather, I guess you would get 2,000 for the Richi Pinfu. Now, if you get a Mangan, that's another story. Then you could maybe think of places to go from there.
Yeah, on the other hand, we've seen that even Richi Nomi can be a manga.
Oh, absolutely.
Alright, we saw the call from Mary Jane again. Trying to seal the deal here. Ishanten for Tanadora 1, looking for 3-pin, 6-pin. With a player who's willing to drop, well, the 6-pin at least. Sitting to her left. Travis, unfortunately, hasn't really been able to call anything from Alec. Not made much progress on this Tanya. Yeah, as they say that. Kanchan fills.
Nice Ishanten. Looks like there are 6 2-5-sos left. Sorry, make that 5.
Oh,
and the best one.
1
it's a slam Richi Tanya Pin
Chi.
too.
I think this is one that I might Dama. It's probably borderline, but we already have a Mangan Dama. And the 2-5-so came out recently, so I prefer, at least this late into the second row, the higher win rate on the dealer Mangan. Don't give people a reason to fold.
Yeah.
But if you know that people you're playing are very aggressive, then by all means, you can slam this.
This does guarantee Hanuman on Sumo. Travis can grab first place right back. The weight is actually fairly live here for being the end of the second row. 4 tiles.
Yeah, it's quite good. That's why I definitely think it's borderline. If I'm playing against people who I know respect Richi's, maybe even then you would take it because it gives you more time to sumo, but I feel like the 2-so at least is very well blocked off here. You see it's one chance from your perspective, so you can expect it to come out easily.
When you see Dora coming out, you can definitely expect that one player's
Oh,
pushing.
yeah. That's an exciting push here against the dealer Richi for an Ishanten from Junshan Sanjuku Open.
Ooh, swap the weight here. The 8-so is just safe.
So the 3-pin is waiting on the dealer Genbutsu, but there's only one left. Oh, there's the Tenpai. So 8-mon just came out. Looks like there is one over on the left. Could have potentially seen a Chi there as well. Chi 6, 7, 8, wait on 3, 6, so.
Furi turn it is. Oh no!
Oh, sorry, I'm completely wrong. I forgot that the weight change wasn't made. Ignore my ramblings
Don't.
about this, Evan. Ah, yeah.
But tries so many tiles, finally gets to Tenpai, but does deal in with the Uda as well.
Ooh.
That will be the Hanuman for Travis. And he finds his way back into the lead.
Travis is in the rich kids club now.
Indeed. 46-6, and the dealership continues.
Bit of a slow hand here. You could see a faraway Itsu, faraway 1-2-3 Sanshoku, but it's most likely just going to become Richidora 1.
Yeah, when everything's that far away, most likely option is just playing efficiently and slamming a Ricci.
And this really sucks for Blaine here, because he's been dealt an Ishanten hand now, but for Richidora 1. I think maybe you just have to cut your losses at this point, though.
Yeah, at this point it's basically impossible to play for an increase in placement, although where there's a dealership, there is a way. Yeah, taking, at this point, I think the general standard approach is just to play for whatever points you can get. Imagine it's East 1.
G.
The battle for first continues, though. Mary Jane with a call into Dianjiten, now Ishanten. For just a Tanyo, but that will put her in a decent position going to all last.
And this is a good moment to point out that, Marianne cut the 9-pin instead of the 7, so looking for acceptance of the Dora. It's equal acceptance on both. You get the Kanchan plus the Shampoo. But obviously, being able to chi that Dora is pretty sweet. Defers to keep a safe south, though. There's Tenpai.
Yeah, if we still have the 7, so it'd kind of be an interesting decision whether you choose Kanchan Dora versus the Shampon.
The scores are quite close.
If the scores weren't
So
so close, I think you'd usually take the Shampoo.
Yeah. Since I mean, even then, if it puts you within Mangan Sumo range, you should probably wait on the Dora. But here let's see, you go 43-6 to 44-6 versus 43-6 to 45-6. It feels like there's a big difference, especially with the Honda, because then you can win anything in the next round.
Seems the Dora have all been drawn, though. Likely to come out at this point. If that's a 7-pin, Travis can make use of it, but
Dom.
just let's go.
I was gonna say maybe 9-man was an option to shift to Tanyo, but otherwise it's hard to stop.
That will make things very close here in all last. Of course, all eyes on the 400-point difference between Mary Jane and Travis, but also on Blaine's high as he attempts to go on a monster dealer run.
Tough high pie to deal with here. It's gonna be cheap, but you have to go for it.
And keep in mind, Alex not too far behind as well. Just, what is that, 3,700? From 3,500 rather, from tying Travis.
Oh, Ishanten here for Blaine.
In this instance, Blaine is sort of the ally of Mary Jane and Alec. If they don't have a hand that's fast enough to win, they're at least hoping Blaine can find something and allow a dealer repeat so they can try again in the next round.
And the other thing is that's extra too here because Travis is the Kamicha for Blaine. So if Travis's hand progresses, you'll naturally overflow more middle tiles and feed the dealer. So if their hand speed increases, the dealer's hand speed will normally increase a little bit as well.
especially given that the dealer's been able to open, and with Yaku confirmed, it's easy to make future calls. Progress being made around the board.
Yeah, speaking of confirming Yaku, there's a 6-7-8 call there, rejecting the 9-pin pair
Gee.
ultimately to go for the fast Tanya, because any win will do it here.
Takes a look at that 6-pin and rejects it, saying this Itsu would be enough value and you're missing the pair anyway. Blaine, though, sitting there with a 2-5 tempai, 2-5 pin, 4 in the wall, 1,500 points, and importantly, the dealer repeat.
There's Ishan 10 for Mary Jane.
Dropping door is a very strong signal for Mary Jane.
It's a bit of an awkward situation because the 1-so is Furiten, but keeping the 8-so allows you to take the Kanchan weight after and avoid that Furiten. The thing is, you don't want to drop the 2-so just yet because you can chi the 4-7, so... Whereas you can just chi the 7-so if you drop the 2 early. I think, though, the 3-mon adds the 4-mon acceptance, so it might have been worth it. I think it evens out.
Right. Well, that's a nice draw.
It's now there's double Furitan chances, unfortunately, but what can you do? I think you just forge straight ahead.
Okay, looks like Mary Jane's intent on avoiding that. This still is really wide acceptance with a 3-6-8. So.
Sumo.
It is, but there's the sumo. 500 all. Now that's fine because the gap for Mary Jane is exactly the same as before. And that's
the Homba in addition.
Yeah, the Homba goes up. That's slightly better for our 3rd place.
All right, North Dora, that was held by Blaine. None of the other players holding. Oh my goodness, Travis.
Blaine pairs it up relatively fast. We see 4 pairs for Chitwa Dora 2 as dealer would be 9,600. That's not nothing.
Yeah.
But this also very easily shifts into Tanyao, Pinfu, Sanshoku, Ipeiko, all kinds of crazy stuff.
In the meantime, Travis already headless Ishantan with Ipeiko as a Yaku.
Just looking to escape here. Any draw there gives a Dama ready Tempai. Ideally, you want to draw the 4 or the 5-mon first and wait on the 6-9 pin.
Blaine, though, 4-7 mon, 4-7, so 5-8 pin. The draws towards Tempai.
And now, maybe 8-mon or the Dora here. Don't think you can hold on to it forever.
Gee. For now, still callable.
Yep, that's a good balancing move.
Mary Jane again with the goal of winning any hand is moving in the direction of Tanya.
Ishan 10. And Ishan 10 for Mary Jane as well. Good shapes.
Always an interesting choice when you have to decide on which diamond plus shape to cut away from.
Yeah, I think in this case they chose to fortify the 5-8 pin because there's a single 8 pin out already.
And not much to go on, but it's something at least.
Top 7 pin. Oh, actually likes the 5-8 pin more.
With 3
1 tile worse.
Looked like the 2 pin was a kind of nice way.
I think that's what I was thinking. Hard to say though, it's only a 1 tile difference.
Right. You can make the argument that since Alec dropped the 8 pin, he'll drop another one.
There might even be an 8 pin here.
Yes, indeed, and Tanya will end it all. Mary Jane stealing away the first place, and all last plus 30.7 for doing so. But a very strong second place showing from Travis with an 18.5, and potentially the most thrilling hand of the game was won by Alec, who finished 3rd here 11.3. That early Shosangan Tenpai, absolutely thrilling, I'm sure. Blaine fortunately took the 60.5 fourth, but gave himself lots of good opportunities to come back, even if the wall wasn't giving him the wins.
Quite the shake-up for the standings.
Yeah, we've seen so much from the B3 division. This is the fourth game of the series, so they are locked in place now. Blaine comes out of the series ahead of everyone else, fourth place overall in the standings. Oh, I guess maybe this game hasn't updated just yet. Yeah, it still says 3 out of
Not
24.
quite.
So it looks like he will actually drop down slightly negative, but still middle of the pack. It is Mary Jane who will be climbing out ahead of everyone else with a 36.5 score line, which should put her in fifth place overall. And then for Alec, increase in score will leave him just slightly negative. And Travis as well, moving up in the list. So it'll be Travis, Alec, and Blaine kind of all sitting around at the same score line in the middle of the table. And I'm very interested to see how this B3 division continues to develop as the season progresses.
Do we have any other games lined up for today?
Taking a quick peek to see what the most recent one is. Looks like they may be, I know, recently starting ones, but there is a table that I am kind of curious to take a peek at. And that is the A2 one that started recently with Aldwin, Jen, Christine, and Kevin. The A2 division,
Oh, interesting.
I was looking at it recently, and it just seemed insanely stacked with players that I recognize as being quite strong players. And I'm very curious to see how this game is going. It will take me a second to pull that up, so I'm going to put up the A2 standings as we see it now. Currently, Stanley and Garrick taking charge with Andre and Harrison following behind. It looks like they're probably about halfway through with this game.
There we go. Looks like Q is in Ricci. That'd be Ricci, Peiko, Dora 2, looking for 8 pin 8, so it's held by Jen. One left in the wall.
Looks like Jen's been on a bit of a tear lately. I see 5 Homba and 59,000 points.
And across the table, unfortunate. It looks like Kevin is stuck on that 2-pin Tonki with 4,900 points, but looking at an expensive hand if it pulls through on the last copy.
Jen finds Tempai and can play out the Suji 3-so. Is this 4 any good? Kind of tough to shove the 4.
It looks rough. Yeah, it's around the Dora area, so and there's no read that shows it as easy to pass. On top of that, the 7-so is dead, so even if you keep Tempai, you're only going for K10. A little bit of a pickle here. 9-pin is a Suji, only deals into a hell weight.
6-so.
6-so did pass, yes.
As long as it continues to pass against the rest of the table, which it did successfully. That will send us to Christine. Not bad high pie, huh?
Not bad at all. Especially after that draw. That's quite a good hand to the right, though. And wow, the quality of my stream just went up a lot. That's odd.
That's excellent.
Oh, there we go. So Ishan Tenu on the right for Reach Pinfu Sanshoku Dora 2, potentially. Definitely the comeback hand that Kevin needs. But seems like Q has a pretty good hand across the way already, 2 Shanten, and even Jen has a good hand over here. Already each Shanten and callable.
Seems like it's going to be a fighting hand for sure. One that you're not willing to give up so easily.
Hmm.
Pon.
It's the
So I think Jen kept the 9 mon here for 1 turn. It sacrifices some of the efficiency, but allows you
Each.
to draw in a second Dora. But now keeps the tune that's been once cut as safety. And that's good news given this reach is here. You can kind of half push for 1 more turn. Goes for the
Sumo.
twice cut Hatsu, but there's the Patsumo.
Tudor, this is Hanuman territory. And just like that, Kevin is back in the game. Just in time for his
Seems like we
dealership.
picked this one up at a good time.
Indeed. All right. Well, this is going to be an interesting high pie in terms of balancing your value opportunities. The Dora 8mon kind of floating out in no man's land for Kevin, but I'm sure he's going to attempt to draw around it.
There you go.
Doesn't need to wait too long,
So
huh?
yeah. Now it becomes a little bit more straightforward.
Ooh, this
One of the
8 pin
2 Sos
though.
is out already. Yeah, this would be quite good, not only to shift you off of the Kanshan, but also for the Sanshoku, of course. And 4 pairs now. It's getting a little more complicated again. You can see the pace of play here is quite a bit faster.
These players quite confident in their decisions, it looks like.
So here we saw Dealer noticing that the Shampon is basically dead. There's a single 3-so left, and both of the 1mon have been cut. Keeps the 8 pin instead of taking the perfect Ishan 10.
リーチ
If the 2-so is drawn immediately, it's a reach. If it's upgrade first, then we will cut the 1-3-so. Now the 3-so looks a little scary against Christine's Ryuichi over on the left, but as dealer, if you get the Sanshoku or just the Richi Pinfudora one, you're going to slam it.
Yeah, it's nice. A nice play there, 3, so not only because of the tile acceptance,
Sumo.
but also it's an excuse to go to the Sancho menu. I was happy to do that. Christine will find Sumo and the Uda to make it a Mungon, and Christine's suddenly in 3rd place, having taken over that spot from Kevin.
Yeah. We don't take any 1326 here in E2. And interesting hand.
4 pairs.
So you have 4 pairs already. I can imagine the 4-pin cut coming soon, and then you'll have to decide how you want to balance it out.
Because with 2, honor pairs, definitely Honitsu's in the back of Al's brain.
So even if you call one of the honor pairs, you can cut 4, so you can still go for Toy Toy potentially, depending on what happens. If you pair up another Tau, you can go for the Chi Toy. Ishanten. And you can still shift into Honitsu here with the draw like 3-mon.
I could imagine 4-mon cut to try to disguise a later Honitsu play.
ポン
But then that gives up the nice acceptance of the 3-mon. You don't lose it entirely. You still have the 1-mon, of course, but...
Yeah. It seems unusual, given the order of the cut so far and the proximity to the Dora. So it definitely would alert me to the dealer. I mean, this call and this pond already makes me think that if I don't have a good hand, I should not be pushing Honitsu tiles anymore.
Oh, but
It's a
Kevin's
very, very strong force.
got 2 away from Tenpai on the left.
It's a good 2-away also.
G.
The one tile passes. Now we'll have to see how Kevin deals with the second one. If another Manzu is drawn. So there's the quick pawn, the tempo on the Champon. We're looking at 40 fu no matter how you win.
Rom.
Going to Suji.
Oh, wow. There it goes. With Suji, a little harder to trust given that it's Honitsu, but better than nothing.
A little easier to jam when you've got a pair of it.
Yeah,
a little easier to
definitely.
jam when you've got 2 Dora, but definitely a little harder to jam when it's Honitsu and it's Shonpai.
Yeah,
Tough.
you're thinking thinking of the shapes there. I guess if they had one floating tile and a pair of the tile that they pawn, I think it was the west, then they could end up on a Tanki for the 1-mon, but that seems a little unusual. They probably have their second pair already, so 1-mon won't deal unless they have the other 2 1-mon and they're on a Champon. In a lot of cases.
Yeah, and that's relatively unlikely, but in this case, what did manage to be the case here? Jen actually an interesting Ishanten now. Just to give up the Dora Diamond potential. Because we're headless, it's not necessarily giving up the Dora itself, though.
Yeah, the hand itself is well poised to just go for a quick Richi. And we might see 7-8-mon cut here is for the shape, but 9-mon is so wide.
9-mon accepts an insane number of tiles, but
G.
Jen says, you know what, Samachan is good enough. And it guarantees
solidify the pin food. Because there are some cases, where you draw into the Sanmenchan first, and then you have to take a Nobitan Richinomi.
Right. There we
Reach.
go, that beautiful 147.
So we're looking at 2300 with the stick. This turn, limited time offer 3900.
Reach.
Do we see a chase here? So Richidora 1 chases. It's a bad weight, but it's Suji trapped. I don't think they'll convince people to cut it against Jen, but there we go. Baits out the 1, so 2,000 plus an extra stick in a Homba. 4,300 is not a bad deal.
Absolutely, and it will lead Jen straight to her dealership.
It's also pretty rare that you see Sanmenchan, Ishanten like that.
That's a very pretty Shantan. It's a great fill, 8-mon. Very curious to see how long Jen decides to hold this 1 Pandora.
Home.
And you can see, as dealer, she's playing aggressively towards the win. Not keeping the Yakuhai around, not Sakigiri from any of these shapes. Just very straightforward efficiency, and there goes the 1 pin now, in fact. Just aiming towards a fast Richi, it seems.
These shapes are filling. Already into Ishantan.
Doesn't want. That's a slightly wider Ishanten if you cut the 3 so, but perhaps looking for the Sanmenchan draw with the 4 so, and then the upgrade to Itsu around the lower Manzu.
Right, this offers a lot of draws towards Pinfu. Of course, holding the 9, you still get the 8 pin, but now we get the upgrade anyway, and it's just
now we cut the 3. I was gonna say I slightly prefer cutting the 3 so, just because even if you get the Sanmenchan, there's 2 Tusos out already, but it's definitely an improvement. Here 567 Sanshoku though. Cuts the 4. Perhaps looking for re-improvements around the Sozo again for Tanyao. Such as that, but it will be for E10 if you end up on it. So not quite strong enough to convince her.
Kevin, 2 calls now, both of them Yakuhai. Have to be a little bit concerned about that hand as well.
Yeah, and I figure, if you're going to be taking for E10, you'd rather not do it against someone who looks like they're close to winning.
It's back.
Nothing you can do about that.
Christine Pinchudor 2 on the right, 5-8, so.
So given these score lines, I prefer the Richi. Would have been our 30 Patsu. Or am I thinking of the other game?
Maybe if we combine them all together.
There we go.
But that is Christine taking a pretty significant lead over Kevin for third place. South 3 now. 6-1 door held once by the dealer. Once by Jen on the left.
Yeah, it looks like everyone can accept it easily.
Al's hand is the one that amuses me the most out of this bunch. 2 Onkos and nothing.
Oh, that's right. Oh, for a hand like that, it seems like you can shift towards Tanyao.
It's one of those hands
Maybe.
where you've got so many honors that you expect most of your draws to be better than the tiles you have right now.
Yeah, and if they aren't, then you keep safety, right? Now we can see possibilities of Sananko, Tanyao. It's going places.
Ooh, it really is. Ishanten for that son uncle. Maybe more.
I have to imagine that if the 4-pin R60 is drawn knowing Al, it will be Adama looking for the Swanko Tanki or just regular Swanko upgrades.
Sure. The gap now is what, 12,100? No, I'm way off. 7,100. There we go. Wait, that's
Here we go.
338. I'm reading this backwards.
So keeps the 1 chance 8-pin for now. We'll take the 6-pin 9-pin Tempai for the reach Sumo Sananko chance. But definitely wants to draw one of those 4-7 pins or the 6-0. Could
リーチ
pass it,
Tanya.
but yeah, it's a very good hand as is. If you sumo, it's a Mangan.
Wait, has 1 tile left in the wall for the Sumo.
As for the other tiles, I can't imagine that either the 4-pin or the 6-0 comes out easily. 1 pin can no longer be Suji Trap. Maybe if the 2-pin is conned, you can see the 4-pin coming out. But it's also possible that this is a case where you take the 7, 5, 3 shape and you cut the 7-pin looking to win on the 3. Wait on the 4 as Suji to the Richi tile. In that case, you can't create a Suji trap in either direction. So maybe you take the one that is Kabe on the other side. I don't know. Don't think you can read too deep into this Richi.
Sure. And there's a chance that Christine does cut the one pin in the future and create that Suji.
Yeah, always a chance.
Looking for those central Sota. They just haven't come out.
And you know,
Dom.
to her perspective, the 1 pin is 1 chance as well, but there's the 6-0.
Jen Ishanten for Tanyao Sanako door 2 or 3 of her own. Gives it a try, but that will end up dealing in. And now 6,400 to get between the two for first and second. And
This is a deja vu.
we have seen this high five before. Oh my goodness, it is literally the same hand.
Boom.
Oh, that's an obvious point. And now, okay, decides to take the most direct Ishanten. There's an option to cut 3, so 7, so there and force 1 Itsu Shosangen, but the acceptance around the door on both sides is too much, I think. And you can always force Shosangen out of this.
Yeah, we're almost sad if we draw the 3 so 7, so we're relegated to a punch on your Dora.
Nearly 3 Han. Think it would end up being 7,700. Oh, there's 2 of the tunes though, so now we will sadly accept it. I guess there's always the option for the hell weight.
Right?
With the Hatsu Anko hidden, it's not bad.
Dong.
But there it is. Quick one off of Kyo.
Unfortunate timing on that 6-0 cut right after Kevin got Tempai. And suddenly, the race for first is, at least the tension for first has lessened dramatically for Jen, and the tension for second place is ramping up.
Oh, 2 good hands here so far. Dealer Ishanten for Sanchoku already, and then Q
リーチ
just got Tenpai. It's Richi Nomi on a bad wait, though. I wonder about waiting here.
It feels early enough that you could.
Maybe. Yeah, because it's a double middle tile Shampon with once dropped by the dealer, and there's no guarantee that the dealer or anyone else drops it again against you in Ricci, so the thing is that it's not the widest in terms of upgrades. If they were in different suits, it would definitely be way wider, but
As is,
yeah,
the
hard to say.
1300 will get you at above 30,000, so
That's true.
it's tempting to just jam if you've got the Tempai. The one so would have been the first chance at an upgrade. Assume you didn't just break Tempai in favor of the Formon.
Yeah, that's true. Might have done that. But yeah, it feels like if you broke Tenpai in favor of the Formon and dropped the 3-so for some reason, then that's feels like a strong weight on the 2-so at that point.
One chance.
Either way. Yeah, one chance, and technically Sorogawa if you Tadashi the 3-so and then Tadashi the Formon to Ricci. It's a little bit sneaky, but you know. Well, it looks like Jen is in Pearland over here. But the south seems
リーチ
fairly okay as a pair. And we see a chase. 5-8-so. Takame would be the 8-so for Mentonpin Sanchoku. Big dealer hand.
1 8-so live and 3 5-sos.
Now the 3-so might come out here
ドン
because it's safe against the dealer. And Q's Ricci was so fast. So it ends up working out after all. Plus Q ends up getting that Ricci stick.
Getting over 30,000, positive 6.3 for L. Jen will take the first, though, plus 26.2. And the tight battle for second, it'll be Christine taking third and Kevin taking the fourth. We've seen a couple of 23.4 fourths today. A score that I'm not disappointed to get if I'm in fourth place, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, it's not the worst. And Jen, despite being in such a large lead there, did take a few hits towards the end, but managed to weather the damage and comes out in first.
Oh, thanks, Korak, for updating. Yes, it was Christine. I accidentally didn't hit the down arrow enough times. Let's check and see. I think that may have been their second game, so that means it's kind of unlikely that they will have queued up another one. And indeed, looks like they are calling it here, having played 2 games. After those 2 have completed, it is Christine with the small edge, Al in second place. Jen just below 0.0, kind of a little bit further back. Early days here in A2, but we've seen some exciting games. On Tuesday night, there was a really interesting matchup between, I think it was Garrick at that table, Harrison was there, I think Riley was at that table. I can't remember the fourth player, but it was a very interesting series that culminated in a double Ricci Sanchoku. I think it had door 2 as well for Harrison. I don't know, it was a crazy hand. Double Ricci Sanchoku, Kana Kanchan. Wild stuff happening in A2, and I really am looking forward to catching as much of the A2 action as I can, because I've watched a lot of these players not just hop up and down between A1 and A2, but also a lot of these players have climbed up from C1 or B3, depending on when they joined the league, right up into A2, and it's their first time playing in the A divisions. So I'm really curious to see how they fare. A couple of those names, people like Nathan and David, and I think Daniel as well is his first time in the A2 division, doing well so far with a positive score to start it off.
Yeah, you look around, you're like, oh, this isn't Kansas anymore.
A few familiar faces, though, for those players who just promoted. We'll be seeing all their the fellow members who promoted out of B1 with them, including some former A2 members like Eric and Aldwin. Yeah, A2 division, really fun one this season. I think that is actually the final game for the evening. But before we wrap things up completely, I just wanted to take a quick peek at the game results tab to see if there were any big results that jump out, any Yakumans that we may have missed. I am seeing earlier today in B1, Kate earned a plus 74.1. Huge finish for Kate in that game. In A1, Simon took a big first place with 49.4. The only player in the positives. And we caught the first half of that series on Monday night. Check out our YouTube channel at American Ricci on YouTube to see what went down in those games. It was a very high level play, I thought, in those games. And we saw some really clever cons, defensive cons almost, in that series.
Hey, this is the booth giving you support. Just letting you know they are playing all four.
They are playing all four. Does that mean that
Oh,
we
oh,
can?
we have to keep watching.
Well, I feel like we're obligated to at this point. All right. Well, I'm gonna stick around. Eric, are you also?
Absolutely, for at least one of them, if not both.
Perfect. Well, then we can carry on with the game results as we wait for the game to start. They are on a bit of a pause though, so we'll hang out for just a second or two. In the second game from that A1 series, it was Viet taking the first place with plus 36.1. And Ross continued his good form in B3, winning another game. Yumin coming back with a second place in that series. And unfortunately, no Yakumons. Maybe we have that yet to come.
2 more games to try. All right, as we wait, I'm going to go refill my water. I suggest anyone in the audience to do the same. Is not it?
Oh, it looks like perhaps the game has started and I just have not gotten the ping for it. So let's go ahead and hop in. I see now.
Right.
It is here. All right, so game 3 underway. It will be Jen, our first dealer. Aldo to the right, Kevin across the table, Christine on our left. Already 2 calls and a tempai for Kevin across the table. Honitsu only. Waiting on an 8-pin.
Honitsu only, so it'd be 2,000 on a run. On a sumo, it would go up to it would go up to 713 because 2 for the kanchan, 2 for the sumo, and then 8 for the 2 wind pairs.
Oh, but those 8s are getting a little locked up now. She does choose to give up the Dora. It is safe to the Honitsu.
Yeah, if it hadn't passed yet, we might see some kind of workaround in the Manzu or just a straight fold with East East East.
With these calls, you're wondering what the maximum value could be for this hand.
You have to imagine it's quite bad, and you see Jen is reacting as such. The 8-mon, 3-mon, 4, so 6 all from hand early in row 1 screams Honitsu.
Although, with both of these calls being non-Yakuhai, West has come out as well, so that's the dangerous one. The real value is in the East and in it being Toy Toy as well, or something like Itsu perhaps.
I'm a little bit surprised by this switch to the Shampon, because it's 3 times dead. I think if you keep the 7-pin and the 2, 3, 4, 5-pin, you can still chi a lot of upgrades and draw a lot of upgrades, so I'm not sure it was necessary to change the weight, but we'll see if it tricks anyone.
Dom.
There's the Dama from Jen. Takes the Tanya only for 2,000. Gets a repeat, stops the nasty-looking hand, and is rewarded with a fairly good high by Tudora. Probably seeing a 9-pin cut here. Look to pair up those Yakuhai.
It was all the players I think managed to find Tempai there, dancing around the Honitsu.
A lot of thought on this south pawn. Doesn't end up taking it. Kind of hard to navigate the hand afterwards. Looks
Right. Would it be a toy
more
a
li-
Honitsu?
Yeah. Maybe moving a little bit more towards just a Ricci Pinfu here, or maybe even a Tanya shift, now that you have 3 Dora. Could definitely see cutting south-south.
It's kind of funny in this case. South, typically a great save tile, but also a tile that gives up a lot of information because there is so much thought. You know that the first South was coming out of the pair, and so as long as the
Yeah.
South is at hand, it's not Tempai.
So this is a little rough because the Forso is twice cut.
리치.
There are upgrades around the 5, so I wonder about moves like 3-so
Mm-hmm.
the turn before to wait on the 3-pin since it looks more live and you can still upgrade around the 5-so, but it's really hard to say.
Yeah, I imagine if we had the 3-pin Tempai, we would be slamming Ricci here.
리치.
Probably, especially since the 5-so passes the first player into Tempai. So we have the Suji to the first one. Do we continue to push here? Do we break with the 5-so or the 1-chance 3-so? Do we just fold? Kind of hard to fold this with 3 Dora, though. There's some nice Manzu upgrades.
That will work.
Well, here we can chase. Probably. The 6-0 doesn't look bad. And in fact, it would be completely live. Playing a little bit more defensively, though.
Okay, well now we're
And is rewarded.
And the 6 just came
Dama.
out, so if Al had one
Sneaky, sneaky.
had to play Genbutsu, could have dealt in
It would have been the Patsuran
right.
on the 6 if you'd taken the Kanchan, but there's no way you can know that. And this workaround has ended up making the hand quite nice.
럼.
But there's none. When Tempai didn't want to break Tempai.
Thought the 9 was
And
good
deals
enough
in.
with the 8 cut. Well, this looks fast. It's an early Ishantan, but not necessarily good weight here. Let's draw the
There's
7.
a there's a slow crawl to Sanshoku, previously to Chanta as well, but opts for the upgradable shapes. It's absolutely what you should be doing in this hand. Looking around the table over on the right, looks like we have 3 pairs. Make that still 3 pairs. 1 was just cut. Possibly aiming to shift towards Tanya. It's a bit of a slow hand, but does have one of the South Dora. Jen across the way. Oh, sorry, that's Christine across the way. My bad. Looks to have. Oh, I had the option to take the Ishanten, but breaks it. Looking for possibly better shapes around the Pinzu and Sozu. And then Jen on the left has a kind of middling hand. Not a lot of value, but you go for a closed Pinfu there. Maybe a 3-4-5 Sanshoku. Or 4-5-6.
You had me at Sanshoku.
There you go. All right. So Chun is live now. Jen keeping it for a little bit here.
I'll choose to
Now
read this door a little bit rather than...
Yeah. I think if you can get that hand to Chitoi Dora too, that'd be quite good. If you're dealer here, you're gonna cut that south. Oh, I thought we were gonna cut it after the pawn. Interesting. Now I understand that it's not a whole lot of value, but taking Tenpai here in row 2 is important. So I think Personally, unless I was deathly afraid of the Dora, I would just cut it here and take the Tempai.
As this,
Reach.
oh, there's a Ricci.
Another interesting thing to consider then would have been to cut the 6/8 so you can pawn the 2 or you can draw the Dora and champ on for a Mangan. But regardless, yeah, here comes the Ricci. Han 6-mon is 3 times cut. It's an interesting choice there for a Richinomi.
ち
It's very quickly hit, and if it's anything like my games earlier this week, I accidentally hit some buttons on the screen several times in one of my games.
I have to imagine it was something like that. I think if you do notice it, then you probably cut the 7-mon and look for the upgrades around both of the 4-tile shapes. But as is, even if this was a misclick, or regardless of whether it was or not, this could end up slowing down the other players. Looks like Kevin is still looking for either K10 or the eventual pawn of the South Dora, willing to fight given that they see 2 of them.
ドン
There's the last 6-mon. Ends up working out.
Now, I was gonna say,
Mod
at
is-
the time the Ricci, Christina had that floating 6-mon just waiting to come out upon Ricci Tempai, but she did manage to draw the 8-mon and make use of the 6-mon hand, but after washing away towards a different Tempai, did end up having to come out.
Oh, dealer over here starts with 2 Dora, another really good hand. Could go for a Rion Peiko. Speaking of interesting hands, over on the right, you can see the network required to build a Junchan Sanshoku Dora 1 there. Jen across the way has the West Yakuhai and acceptance for the Dora, and then over on the left looks like Q has that Yakuhai, 4 pairs already.
Even up to 5 now.
So, oh. Definitely seems like a hand where you'd prefer Chitoi, at least until that fill wasn't made. Now you can start calling either for Tanya or Shun. It's kind of sad to devalue it to only 1,000 points.
Kevin, with the 2 Dora in hand, does end up cutting the South pair, even though that is a really sneaky Ento to wait later. The South is just dead, so not really providing much value. And calling for Tanya Dora to his dealer is really strong.
リー
Yeah.
チ
Looking for mobility, and here is Jen's Tempai. Ricci Dora 1 on the 3-mon pension, 1 left in the wall. And note that this goes up to 50 fu because you have 2 Ankos, that's 8 fu, and then you have a pair of your own wind and a penchant.
It's almost a shame that this is a Dora penchant because of the potential chance to work towards a Sananko or just a big shape in the Sozu. One Dora in the wall from our perspective. At least for Kevin, these So tiles look like they'll pass.
And now the 1/4 So has been cleared.
Even the Kabe with the 2 So's made it look relatively safe.
Yeah, the more scary one in that case with the 2 So Ricci, even though it's Kabe, is the 1 So, because there's a chance for a Shampon or a Tanki. But yeah, looks like the coast is clear. A little bit of trouble deciding here. Maybe 6-7 So if you read the So as safe. And will we see a Chi of the 2-5-mon if offered? This late, probably.
Maybe even if the 9-1 comes out, last one.
Last one we might see a Chi, since there's only a couple turns left. That 3-mon is still left in the wall. Looks like there's one more chance for Kevin to get Tenpai. No shot though.
Nice.
But on the plus side, no chi means that Jen doesn't get Haite.
Last 3 mod buried deep in the wall. Christine now with the dealership. One Mondora is awkward for this hand. But
Definitely. I wonder if this is a delayed Honitsu decision.
yeah, you can like 2-pin, 8-pin, and continue delaying for a while.
Now, though, you have the door acceptance. Looks like Jen's hand isn't super fast either. A lot of awkward shapes and pairs. Oh, maybe Chitoy now.
Al, on the other hand, has a really straightforward approach here with 678 Sancho Chance, Tonyo Pifu.
The 678 is a little bit tragic if you look to the left. Kevin started the hand with an Ankon of the 6-pin hidden.
Dreams die.
And is unlikely to give them out.
More likely to con one than drop one.
Boom.
Yep. Maybe upon drawing a 4-pin or an 8-pin.
Kang.
Oh, over there actually. That feels like it hurts your Tenpai chances actually. Oh, if you cut the 6-pin from the Anko, you get 4, 6, 6, 6, 8, and you can get Tenpai 4, 5, 7, 8 pin. And it's a little bit diminished here, but if you draw the 1-mon into a pair, it actually ends up working out really nicely.
Oh no, the 3, 4, 5. The 8 is a really nice Tonki later on if we can get there, but
No, definitely. Well, Ishan 10 for Christine.
who incidentally has made it's actually Tenpai.
Oh, it is. You're right. If you cut the 1-mon, it's con 5-mon. I was reading the Soza wrong.
Now, this is a lot of progress for Christine. Very short amount of time. Looks like she's not willing to drop the door against Kevin, who now has made another Tadashi at the 8-pin. As he plays Tenpai.
I actually ended up drawing that door again, like we were talking about.
Reach.
Unfortunately, the 3-mon wait is dead.
Oh, 2 3-mon waits.
Yeah.
Oh, but
And
this
I
could be a
can't-
cheat. Jen passes it up.
Jen could potentially shove the 3-mon Suji, but it's kind of rough. Given its proximity to the door now. The 2, 6, 4 cut
Boom.
order is also very strange. You'd normally see 2, 4, 6, but there we go. The 9-pin. 6-pin was conned.
Leads to the
So,
the new all those sticks collected by Al as well, who will now move over 30,000 points. Interestingly, you know, when you've got that 6-pin con, the 9-pin almost becomes more dangerous to whoever has the diamond shape. But at the same time, with someone really reachy with that diamond, with half of it being dead, at that point it's just a penchant. It's a terminal penchant. It's
I think that's exactly why you do reach here.
Boom.
If your hand has enough value to be worth it. It's a terminal weight,
Chi.
and you would take a Richidora 1 Kanchan, so why not take a Richidora 1 terminal weight with 4 live, or however many we're live at the moment.
Chi.
I know Q likes that kind of stuff.
And now we see a flurry of calls. Jen, the only close player, Ishanten for Chitoy. But Al aiming for
Yeah,
1, 2,
Q.
3, Sancho at the right.
Yeah. Still has draws into Chanta if the Hell Weight East is drawn.
Not expecting it, but really hoping that you draw it.
Yeah. So Kevin across the way was holding out double Ajizuke either for the Sha which ended up becoming reality, or the 4-5-6 Sanshoku. It's a cheap hand, but it was unlikely to get super expensive anyway. A little bit interested in this 4-so hold, probably trying to Shibori Christine on the left to pawn the Dora.
Interesting. This is more. I think it's more playing towards the fact that Christine, honestly, actually, doesn't even
I
quite look
think
like
it's a
22. It's very aggressive.
I, I,
Jeez.
I think it's a protective move for the dealership. You don't want Christine to take a big win and take the Oyakabari, putting you into last place. You want to keep your last dealership, so a quick chi over here. You can always mix it up if you pull in the 3-pin. You can even con this and go for the Rinshan chance on the 1-so.
Confidently 8-pin. And by now on 3-6 Mon. I wonder if Jen stops on any tile or just defends this Oyakabari to the left discard.
The 1 is for a 10, can't win on that.
That's also just Antonio.
So far, Jen hasn't encountered any tiles that don't look like they could probably pass. I think a lot of this is revolving around the fact that the 4-pin passed,
That's
that
true.
the 8-so wasn't cheated earlier, that the 7-so was early. 6-pin is a bit, because you know the 8-pin was the last Tadashi, but there goes the 4. Ends up saving this hand.
Kind of huge. Kevin drew the 1-so, and it was Gembutsu. Al passed it, but Kevin held on to it, and as a result, the 4. Oops, we're not switching either. The 4-so was able to be roamed by Jen.
Yeah, it seemed like Kevin probably held back there, not wanting to potentially feed that hand anymore, was trying to limit the amount of callable tiles.
Ended up
And while
working
one
out.
so had passed while one so had passed before, Kristen was never offered the chance to cheat the 1-4-so, so Kevin wasn't sure whether it would be called or not.
Boom.
Right.
Decided
Even
not to
though
toss
he
it.
knew it was safe, he didn't necessarily know that it would
Boom.
progress or template.
Two
リーチ
fast calls for Honitsu Ishanten, but right into the Richi from Christine, looking for Richi Itsu. And the Ipatsu mechanic kicks in. There's the 3-so from Jen. 1 left in the wall. Surely you can't give up this Ishanten, though. Cut 1 mon back. Do you cut the Chundora? If you chi the 5-8 mon, well, I guess there's only 1 8 mon left. Oh, it's a bit rough.
Challenging to play now that there's a Ricci.
It is only turn 2, though. It's not like there was a lot of weight selection choices, but even though it was on turn 2, it's a 1-3-pin cut from the hand.
Right.
Now, normally when you cut in that order,
ドン
oh, there it goes. Not enough information there to fold. That was a Suji anyway. 5200. I was gonna say when you're cutting the 1-3-pin in that order, it usually means you're looking for shape improvement, because otherwise you would cut 3 1-pin for safety.
Yeah, if you're confident
So
the 1-pin's safer than the 3.
Yeah. It's still too hard to tell whether Christine had a good weight or not, though.
Right. Because even if you're searching for a block, you can just draw the, perfect Kutsuki draw into a jam and weight or something.
What you do know, though, is that her hand already had sufficient blocks, because otherwise she would have just called Ricci on the first turn, I think. So you know the hand was Ishanten and had the luxury of cutting a shape.
South 2 now. Al playing the 5 mon improves these shapes, but also 4 pairs.
ポン
Gotta take the quick call there. It's a nice callable hand.
Playing the 6 blocks this time, allowing the 6-pin caller an upgraded shape in the Pinzu.
Yeah, and there's a backdoor 5-6-7 Sanshoku as well.
チ
Yeah, because we have so many blocks, although we'd have to cut like 8 mon after taking the 6 chi. Any other call, we'd probably end up cutting the 5-7 block.
Christine ends up calling the Kanchan Forso here for Tanya, potentially Sanchoku on the 5-8 pin.
4
Cheapens the hand quite a bit, but goes for the quick win.
Take over the lead, in fact. Moving to South 3, we're at that point where even 800 points could be significant.
Absolutely. And Christine still has one dealership to really ramp up that first place too. On the other hand, Kevin is going to have to fight off Jen here. Last dealership and starts with this high pie. It's not bad. A little bit of overlap in the Manzu.
Imagine.
But Q with the
taking care
door
of that.
pair.
Yeah, Q with the door pair on the left and Christine with a very pretty Jian Shanten on the right.
Yeah, it seems like so far the issue for both Jen and Kevin has been that the other two players have just produced such fast hands. Not that they could do anything about that, just really good high pies.
Okay, it's slight improvement. Allows us to use the 8 so as a pair with the 3 pin draw. Oh, the pass immediately rewarded. And now an insanely wide Ishanten. The only draw we're really sad about is the 2 so.
リーチ
There we go, 3-sided. Richi Pinfu Takame Tanya on 3-6 Mon. 3-6 so, I should say. So also a winner here.
6 left in the wall. It's a healthy amount.
Just like that, the door drawn in. Oh, it comes out. Kevin's going to fight, and Al passes the call.
Even if you pawn this, it's a little hard to fight with this hand. You don't even have all your shapes.
I guess the second try and says no. So Al's just playing to avoid Christine here.
Yeah, if Al avoids dealing in here and goes into all last on a draw, even though the gap does increase, the Richi stick remains on the table and the comeback isn't that difficult. But if you deal in directly here, it's quite bad.
Yeah, situations like this that makes South 3 such an interesting round. Oh, that's the best draw for Kevin.
And this is
Each.
a fight.
It doesn't
Now the
matter
one
that the
pin
1
is
pin's
dead.
out. He wants the 4 pin anyway.
Pinfu Sanshoku for 5800 isn't anything to scoff at either. But you also notice that none of the other players have actually tossed it yet, even though it's a safe tile, so it's likely to be in the wall. Unfortunately, so is that 3 so.
Kevin will eat the 3900, and now our all last scenario is incredibly close. 100 points separating Kevin and Jen. A battle of speed perhaps between the two, although both with incentive to win a Mongon and make it over 3,000 points.
Looks like Jen probably has a slight edge on speed here with the 2-3-4 Sanshoku, maybe a shift towards Tanyao. Kevin's hand could also go towards a Tanyao, though. It's just the shapes are a little bit more bunched up in the Sozu.
And Jen even finding the Chun pair now, so Yaku basically locked up as soon as the Chun comes out.
Yeah, you can always force the Sanshoku 2 in the worst case, but you have to be Tenpai here at the end because otherwise you'll fall into last place. Or, sorry, you'll stay in last place.
Indeed, and Christine, Ishanten actually, with potential sneaky weight here, she can draw the 6-0. More likely that she ends up improving these shapes towards something better.
I wonder though, if you draw the 6-0, do you take the immediate Richi with 1 north out, or do you cut 6 pin and aim for Pinfu?
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. It's a really nice Kutsuki there. 3 tile Kutsuki. 3 pin, 6
I'm
pin,
also
6
a little uncomfortable taking any Richi against
Chi.
Aldwin that puts a stick on the table but with a very weak weight. Especially
Come.
since it won't even close out the game to take a Richi Nomi.
Well, Khan. So Jen hoping to increase the value of this hand a little bit. Doesn't flip any door up, but that does give dealer one more.
There's a rough little bit of back and forth for the dealer here. Cut the 6-mon to hold on to the 1-mon, potentially for safety, but then backfired on the 9 so immediately afterwards. Who was actually just folding out here.
Yeah, maybe with that con, it feels like Jen could be tempi. So she just wants to not deal in. Did end up drawing the deal in tile, so could be a really heads-up move.
Yeah. Now, if you do deal in here, you still take first place, but there's no way that she can know that.
Especially with that con. Also, the value of that hand increases to
126, I think. Oh, we'll find out in a second. Yeah.
hand relief. Just 2,600. So will be Christine and Jen making, moving up. Christine taking the first place, 22.2, staying ahead of Al in all last, who takes a very nice positive 9.1 of his own. Jen will take over third place from Kevin with that all last win, negative 9.4. And Kevin taking the fourth place, negative 21.9.
Close call from multiple people.
And that will leave
Well,
us with one game remaining.
I imagine they're going to take a short break before the next one. So now I am actually going to go fill my water, and I'll see you in a second.
All right, sounds good. I think perhaps we will also, I will also take a short break and do the same. But stay tuned. There is one more game for this series. It's going to start in, looks like a little over 5 minutes. And we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're still waiting for that A2 game to start, so we thought in the meantime we would hop over to the other table that's going on right now.
リーチ
Kind of amazingly, there is another table that is still happening, and it is a C1 matchup. Very exciting table with some players that I haven't actually gotten a chance to watch before, so very curious to see how things go in this matchup. Of course, we've got Alex O on our right, one of the many volunteers into the commentator booth. Always an exciting player to watch. We've got Noel sitting across the table from the West Coast, and a couple new players. Tim is is the dealer, and JT sitting to our left. Right now, the defense against Alex's weight here.
It looks like
working out because the jaw hasn't been drawn.
the
リーチ
5-mon was cut to wait on the 2-mon Tanki, and then they waited a couple turns trying to make it less suspicious of a Suji trap. But there is now a chase. 7-mon 3-pin for Richi Tanyo.
Oh, okay.
Right afterwards.
Alex does find the sumo. Doratanki paying off. The pick goes well. It's a full Mongon, and Alex takes the lead.
And checking the chat now, it seems like the last game will be played tomorrow.
Ah, I see. Good to know. Well, that means that we can finish off with this game then. Let me check and see which match this is. This is their third game? I believe they said they were playing all four. Maybe able to watch more from this table as well. All right, Tim here in the dealer seat. Feels a nice 2-3-4 shape in the Monzu. Cutting away from the 1-pin here. Perhaps soon to be the 2-pin as well, but I like going with the 1-pin first if you're going to make this play. That way you can find yourself with a 2-3-4 Sancho in the future, in case you draw the 4-pin or even the 3-pin.
Very true. The draw of the 6-0 is pretty good here since you don't have a head yet. I think the widest immediate cut at that moment was the 7-0, but I don't mind this that much, especially since we can work towards Tanya.
ポン
Call.
Pawn towards Toy.
Yeah, that looks like it can come to completion. What's so typically not a tile you'd imagine would be too difficult to call.
Yeah, even the 6-0 is Nakasuji now.
Players start to defend against your hand. Nakasuji not really that strong when it's Toy.
And they probably noticed that something is off about the hand too. I mean, look at 3-4, so cut from the hand, 4-mon, 7-mon. It looks like a strange hand.
リーチ
Indeed, but we're going to see the Ricci from Alex. Slamming the Kanchan 8-pin, Ricci Dora 1.
Two left in the wall.
リーチ
And a chase here.
A nice improvement here for Tim. It's Ricci Tanya Pinfu with Ipeko chance on the 3-so.
Looks like there's 3 left in the wall, so it's 2 versus 3.
ポン
Slight edge towards the dealer hand here.
Ooh, could see a call to Tempai from JT, but F5-so will be passed.
ロン
Double wrong.
Alright, the stick's going to Noel, and the dealership retained for Tim here. No Uda, but still 5,800 is a nice little pickup. Could even see further retention here with a callable high pie.
Yeah. Good shapes too. 4 Ryanmen and 1 callable Yakuhai.
Oh my goodness, it's too many shapes.
It's going for that hand, 7 Ryan men.
Can we make that a thing? I would like to win with 7 diamond.
Yeah, I mean, the tiles are paired up, kind of.
I guess 7 diamond is just.
It's a little easier.
Just a wee bit. That's a sweet 5-pin fill, though.
ポン
Well, now the 7 so ties, so I guess that kind of decides which of the so's are going to be cut.
Well, though, with the 7 so called, now into Tanya Ishangtan.
Has the opportunity to pick up Dora up to twice. You don't want that 1 pin, though.
Yeah, that's going to make that one a little bit harder, at least to get 2 4-pins. One's still on the table, though. JT now with an Ishan 10. On the left, desperately looking for a 7 mon, but the shapes are quite nice.
7 mon is going to be really hard to get now. There are none left in the wall. Could potentially see it dropped if a 8 mon is drawn. Maybe even now. With that 9 mon draw, you have an easy chance. So if Tenpai is reached and JT happens to get Tenpai before that 7 mon is dropped, there's a good chance that it comes out. But it's actually going to work around that now. Risk the potential for return on the 9 pin.
Now pairing up tiles.
Pays off. Drop 7 pin now, you're Ishan 10.
Yeah, also Chitoi Ishan 10, so 6 mon is pretty wide too. Holding half of the weight for Toivo's hand. Well, 3-6,
I think
so only 1 tile more.
Chitoi 2 Shanten. Maybe. Oh, you mean if you toss the 6 pin?
Right.
Sorry, the 6 mon.
Right, before the 7 pin.
Got it. Yeah, I guess in this case just wanted to avoid the first pin and be able to call. So now what do you take here? Both the 4 mon and the 5 mon both look kind of good.
リーチ
ズモ
Ooh.
Ooh.
Alex waits 1 turn.
And
Just-
ends up donating a stick as a result.
Yeah, just long enough to get the stick in. You know, sometimes you wait 1 turn and the player sumos and you're like, ah, I saved a stick.
Yeah, it's true.
But
Can go both ways.
in this case, needed to wait 2 turns for that to happen.
South 2 towards the Haku wall for in the wall. Looks like there's a bit of a pause here.
Oh, if the tile's not drawn, it could be 10 freezing again. Looks like the
I
tile's
think it
not
might
drawn.
be.
Alright, what will have changed? We're on discard 4. Did it freeze again? Does it not want me to watch Alex's perspective? Let's see.
Top secret. Hush, hush.
it,
Oh.
it will allow us to draw tiles as long as we're not watching Alex. All right, we're gonna leave it here then.
Oh, there goes the first Dora. 3 more left in the wall.
Alex playing hard for a Tanya with a 9-9 cut.
Yeah.
It's aggressively Tanya.
Boom.
Yeah, keeping the 1 pin as a safe tile to 2 players and now 1 chance against the 3rd. There's Ishan 10 across the way for JT. And the pawn is passed by Noel over here, wants to aim for a slightly more expensive hand. than Tanya only.
It's unfortunate these floaters aren't a little nicer. And here we get the penchant.
Now, on the plus side, you can still get Ipeiko or
Absolutely.
improve. You do give up the 678 Sanjoku chance, though. But that's not a bad trade-off. I think I prefer the 678 just a little bit more.
Now with the
That
Noah
being
holding
said, you're really
yeah, only so much of this 2-5. It's gonna be hard for JT to get there.
So now is it 2, 5, 3, 6, 9, and 8 mon, and 7 mon? We'll get Tenpai. That's a lot of Monzu.
Super wide for Noel, but looks like Tim's gotten there, just deciding how he wants to
Each.
take this weight. Maybe
Chi.
the combo here. Kanchan was
Trying to
Suji
snipe
trap,
that 8-pin.
but twice out, so
It's also weird, to cut the 4-pin and keep the 8-pin that much longer despite having cut the 9-pin early. So even though it's a Suji trap, it's not the sneakiest one.
still looking for that Mon tile. Alex seeking Tenpai, doesn't have a pair here, found the pair.
Pong.
Now choice of weight.
5 mon avoids the deal in, but it doesn't seem like
Long.
that's what you would normally take, yeah. Oh, only 1,500.
Yeah, importantly,
Small price to pay for progress.
That's not the reaching hand, so it's definitely cheaper. With the lack of Dora in particular. Alright, I want to try swapping back to Alex's hand now. Let's see if the game will let me do it. Okay, what we got there?
Alright, we're in luck.
Maybe the secret
Nuts.
to Alex winning hands is us to not be spectating him.
Oh, I see. Let's see, do we take the headless Ishanten here? Kind of?
Yeah.
Seems... So that the main line of options was normally like 7-so or to cut 8-9-so there. I think if you cut 7-so, you can upgrade to 6-7-8 Sanshoku. And Tanki on the 1-pin or the 2-pin, but here it just wants to cut it all together, maybe looking for some kind of upgrade around the upper Sozu.
Worst drawing a door not so bad here. Oh, is this a Honitsu call? No, passed.
Now though, this is good Ishanten. I imagine, yeah, cutting 7-so here is fine. Cutting 8-9-so to solidify the pinfu is also okay.
It kind of reminiscent of that Samanchan that we saw from Jen
Each.
earlier.
And this is why you do it. Because you end up on weird situations like this sometimes.
Yeah,
But
although
because you have a lot of options for Nobitan, it's okay.
when you do draw this Samanchan fill and end up on the Tonki, you don't have to take the Rishi.
No. I much prefer to wait a little bit unless the Tonki is somehow really well trapped. Or is like the Dora or something.
Well, 3 so probably a worse tile to wait on than the 6, so we'd be waiting a little longer.
Definitely. You have to wait until something actually better shows up. No, I am curious.
Pong.
Go ahead.
Whether, okay, we were going to see the Chiritsu.
And Will's making the play.
It's a little bit rough around the lower Pinzu, but there we go. 2-pin Tonki. It's safe against the Richi. There's 1 left. Now, do you read this as Chinitsu? Probably not.
Early 8-pin, surely. It's really not.
And early 8-pin, Haku on first turn, and then 2 pairs cut.
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy. Ooh, that's a good G.
Sheath this, wait on 3-pin,
Gee.
4-pin, there's no 4-pins left.
But there's
Or you can
three
cut the 5-pin and
pins.
wait on
Or I guess there's just
1
two
pin,
1
4 pin.
pins.
Ooh, decides to wait on the 3-pin that just passed.
Dum.
Ah, and is hit. Now, after the second call, it's a lot more suspicious,
Yeah.
but still hard to avoid. It's just like, so you pawned against a Ricci, you cut a shape, and then you cheat a 1-pin. Something is up.
But called pal, wait on it. That's against a Ricci. That's a fun move to make.
Very classy.
Very lucky J. Haku's the Dora, and Tim's got a pair already. The Haku to the right, not really fitting in that well.
Might see it come out here even.
Boom.
So Ishanten from Mon got across the way looking for a 5-pin or 5-8, so or now 6-0 and 3-pin will do it as well.
Of course, I imagine Tim would love to improve the shape first, then get to Tempai, but
Boom.
finds the Tempai immediately, so now the improvements a little bit harder to find, but they do exist. 7-pin, 3-pin, pretty ideal.
3-pin is a really nice one.
Not that way. Pulling 3-pin is less exciting.
Boom.
I wonder maybe if you had less calls, if there's any incentive to pull in the 3-pin and look for a Tonki elsewhere, or to connect to another shape. But
Boom.
in this state, yeah. 1 5-pin left.
That is Tempai. JT doesn't choose to take it.
Not willing to cut the 6-pin. Interestingly, the 8-mon had not passed either, though. So it's playing with a bit of fire, regardless.
Boom.
Perhaps reading that just Pinsu is the suit that hasn't been cut from that pawn, so...
Yep, definitely does look a little bit more dangerous than the rest. Now 5-so is a pretty easy pass.
Yeah.
2-so and then 6-so pawn.
Alex here are waiting on the Genbutsu 4-mon, but Noel holding off, hoping perhaps to just win the hand.
Well, there's Tempai again. 6-pin 5-mon. Rejects it.
Ooh, 9-pin jam. Not necessarily giving up on this hand, maybe just didn't like the Tempai, Atsusuke Tempai.
I think the 9-pin is probably fine because it was not cheed.
Mm.
And it's been Sumogiri since
Boom.
then. But there's the 7.
Yeah, that's a good call. 7 though does deal into Alex for a quick and cheap hand, and that will send us into all last.
Close battle here between 3rd and 4th. Only 300 points difference. And then to 2nd place, it's also not that far for the dealer. But it looks like Noel's going to make an easy escape here, pending any dealer repeats.
And maybe we will see that dealer repeat. This is a nice little chance here for 1, 2, 3. Oh, not the 5-pin. The other side. It's okay. We can draw the 1-pin and get the
Yeah.
outcome.
Don't despair. Even just draw the 2-pin. Draw the 1-pin later. Lots of options.
Well, I see a couple of those mentioned tiles in Tim's hand. Maybe a Chitoy, actually. Ishanten. If there's a world where we just go 6-0, 6-0 and aims for a Honitsu, or just take the Tempai, what would you do?
The current situation. Well, let's see. The draws into Honitsu. We can pawn the 4-pin. We can pawn the east. We can chi the 7-pin. We can also pawn the 1-pin. Didn't notice that. It's nice if you want to aim for second. But otherwise, you can just take the Tempai and avoid last. I think it's a little more powerful to aim for the second place, though.
Right on cue. There's the 2-pin and the 1-pin. So, 1, 2, 3, Sanchoku found. Yeah, it's like good.
Now, do we... Oh, yeah, good, good, good.
Boom.
I was gonna say, if you keep the Tumon, it's a little bit too much overlap down there. Oh, here's Tempai. I think... So this is interesting because it's Nakasuji, but it's once cut. Passes Tempai. Interesting. I guess part of the thought is probably that if you improve your Tanki, it probably has a chance to ruin the Sanchoku.
That's true.
That being said, with this score line,
リー
low
チ
rough but rewarded, and Tempai over on the right too, waiting on the Hatsu Tanki for Menhon Chitoi. It's a Mangan there. Hell wait on the Hatsu.
Of course, the 8-pin wasn't any better.
Yeah. Probably gonna rotate off onto another Pinzu or Honor weight eventually.
Of course, Alex with
But
the...
until then, Hatsu will come right out.
Absolutely. Alex with the Yakuhai Door
Sha.
3. Still...
Sha is twice cut as well.
Safe to the dealer, though. Oh, wow!
Oh,
Wrong.
Good switch!
makes the right choice. It's
Chitoi Honitsu Door 3... sorry, Chitoi Honitsu is the Mangan.
That'll definitely put you right over the top of second into above 30k as well too.
Yeah, that's so unlucky for JT though. Just looking at the board here, there was 1 West and there were 7 of the 4/7 mon in the wall.
I really wanted to see the draw of 5-pin for Ryan Peiko.
Oh, that would have been insane as well. Oh, most of those are in the wall too. There are 3 5-pins. Basically, this was the most unlikely scenario out of all of those.
Yeah. Like even the 5-pin, at least if someone tossed it as Steel or Gembutsu, but this is just Hellweight West with no choice.
Crazy. Well, that's going to put Tim over into the positives, 5.1. And we'll grab the first place, 34.7. Putting the standings in a little bit of a shift now. Tim moves up to 10th place overall in the C1 division, well into the positives now. Alex still holding on to a positive after a good first in the earlier games. And we've got 2 minutes before the final game starts.
Well, I am definitely excited for that. Unfortunately, I am going to have to call it quits for tonight. But it has been great commentating. Are you all good on your own? Do you need me to stay a little bit longer, or?
Well, we can call it for the night as well. It has been a rather lengthy stream. You can also pause and see if any other commentator is available to join. But definitely appreciate you stopping in, Eric. It's always very insightful when I've got you in the booth, and I hope all the viewers enjoyed hearing Eric's expertise as well. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's always fun to commentate. I have to do more practice, actually.
All right. Well, it looks like we will likely be wrapping things up for the evening. We'll take a quick look at the standings one more time, just to take a peek at what's going on in the C1 division. Terra, kind of great start to the season. 102.7 is excellent, and Binya as well, 99.4. I think we saw a little bit of Jake play on Monday. Had a great start with 2 first places. Look at that average win, over a Monkan per hand. Will certainly put you towards the top of the division. early days though. The statistics are a little bit overblown when there's only 2 to 4 games played, but very fun to look at. I'm not surprised to see Aiden doing well so far with 4 games played, 79.8, and Koichi, a player from my area in Illinois, always a very fun player to watch, and seems to be starting off great in this league. His first season in the American Michi Mahjong League, 2-2, two firsts, 2 seconds. Great way to start things off. And rounding up the top 7, it's Mitchell in 6th place, also from the Midwest, and Michael at positive 38.7. Things starting to bunch up near the middle here. But of course, as the season continues, things will spread out even further, and these players will be battling it out for the first opportunity to get a double promotion. Keep in mind, for anyone watching from the C1 division or the B3 division, if you finish the season over 240 points, you are eligible for a double promotion if the opportunity arises where there's a spot that you can fill. And usually there is a spot that can be filled. I think, historically speaking, that has been the case in the divisions above. So hopefully that will allow a somewhat historic moment in the American Michi Mahjong League at the end of the season. Something a lot at stake for the players in these divisions. That being said, we are going to wrap it up. So before we sign off, I did want to mention that you can visit the website, americanreach.org, to keep track of all of the scores, even when we're not broadcasting. We've got games happening nearly every day in this league, and so standings get updated constantly, scores updating on our website in the individual leagues. There's also the registration for the fall season, which will be open for quite a while. I think you've got about 3 months, a little less than 3 months, to prepare yourself for the upcoming season, should you like to join. Registration is right on the front page of the website. And of course, as mentioned earlier in the broadcast, you can visit our YouTube channel for all of the previous broadcasts as well. You can use the tiny URL link on your screen, or just visit us at American Ricci on YouTube, as well as the other socials, such as Twitter/X. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I do not have a date for our next broadcast, but I can guarantee you that we will have our regular Wednesday broadcast scheduled for next week. Hope to see you there as well. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.